I'm back. So much to talk about. Feeling refreshed. Uh, Epstein love poem leaked on Wall Street Journal. AOC Israel vote. Um, the Jube puts 20 Nazis against Mehdi Hassan. 3 hour long Hunter Biden interview. Yeah, sure. We'll look at that as well. Okay. Israel is still doing a genocide as AOC votes against stopping arms. The Jew puts 20 Nazis against Mehdi Hassan. Dr. Abdul Al Sayed. Abdul Al Sayed on later. Get in now. I've been following up on Jacare as well in my absence, and it seems like everyone is healed, and I myself am healed as well. I was definitely I was in my most hungover moments. In my most hungover moments, I would just like see clips on the timeline, and I would feel healed myself personally, and it was great. It was fantastic. All right, let's blast it. Let's blast it. Let's blast it. Let's do it. I'm back, feeling refreshed. You already know what it is. Healed. W parasocials. Big W's all around. I mean, I will say there's two things that have healed me. Okay, one, they're great. That stuff, Japan, fantastic. Love to see it. Japan is already like the perfect backdrop for a situation like that. Okay, and then two, I gotta give a shout out to Black Boy Max as well. I love seeing the Phase Boys just absolutely pop off. Black Boy Max came back. I haven't really watched a lot of the stuff that's going on. He did like a dating show or something, but I saw him at like 170K, and that made me very proud. That made me very happy. Like, because those guys are all so great. And as you know, I've been an early investor, both in Ron, even before Phase, but in general, and all the Phase Boys. And I'm happy to see all of those guys just like pop off, and they deserve their flowers, you know? No, he's trash for setting up Wendy. I don't know the exact details of any of the drama, so don't ask me, but it's a fucking drama show. It's supposed to be for drama. Blast off meme if you still need one. No, we already did it. I already blasted off. We know what really happened. What the fuck is this? Hassan, what did you do? All aircraft grounded at JFK due to emergency? What the hell? Did you catch AOC lying on social media about her vote on Green's Israel funding amendment? She said she voted yes, but the record shows she voted no. I don't know how she's tried to defend herself on this, but it's an indefensible proposition for someone like AOC. For someone of AOC's status as like a leader, is supposed to be a leader of the left in this day and age, in this time and space, like there's no excuses. And I think like there are people from all different shapes, colors, from every other kind of background. I'm not even talking like there are people like Maddie Iglesias wrote an article today, I think, talking about how like Israel doesn't need our funds. Okay. I'm sorry. You can't get outflanked by Maddie fucking Iglesias if you're AOC. Okay. It is completely unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. And I'm shocked that she's just not doing the thing that she does that leads her to make these decisions initially, which is listening and learning and doing standpoint theory and like hearing from all sides, right? Like this is the type of stuff that I think is just like really bad instincts. This is something that I've like criticized AOC on, especially when it comes to foreign policy before. And I'm like, I don't understand why she's just like doubling down on it. I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand it. Because like it is so obviously a bad fucking move. It's ridiculous. Like this is the type of shit that you expect from like Chuck Schumer, you know what I mean? Not AOC. And yeah, it was everyone on the entire spectrum, from Revcoms and people like the ACP people, but like even liberals were like, what are you doing? mostly liberals love AOC, and yet even liberals were kind of in awe of her decision on this. And did she get AIPAC? No. Did Bernie vote the same way? It's in the House. Bernie's in the Senate, but I don't know what Bernie would have voted for if he had if given the opportunity. But these guys try to make a distinction between defensive weapons and offensive weapons. Okay, this distinction does not matter. It does not matter. Let's get started on the AOC situation real quick. Does anyone have the initial like thing that started it? Because this was this started off with a Marjorie Taylor Greene bill. Okay, it started off with a Marjorie Taylor Greene bill where she basically I think like put out a messaging bill. That was bullshit. Like it's a classic messaging bill, but it's no different than I guess like when Bernie Sanders puts out a messaging bill to deny weapons transfers to Israel in the Senate. You know what I mean? Or an amendment. Sorry, not a bill. It was an amendment. Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment to cut off offensive aid to Israel and also even defensive aid to Israel, which is completely oblivious. Completely irrelevant in this point of contention. So, but again, like I said, she basically pushed for this as a messaging bill in a way that is no different than like when Bernie Sanders does this. Bernie Sanders has tried to veto weapons transfers to Saudi Arabia in the past, knowing full well that it's not going to pass, but he's still trying to make an effort. Okay. And the same goes for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Titan Greene, regardless of being a fucking right-wing sociopath who is perhaps cynically getting on the fuck Israel train, it doesn't change the reality at all, was pushing for an amendment to stop all weapons transfers to Israel, including defensive weapons. This distinction does not matter ultimately because as we know, Israel uses the defensive shield that it has to be as belligerent as possible while it conducts its genocide and continues to bomb other countries, including but not limited to fucking Syria now, as a matter of fact. As you know, Syria is in a state of turmoil at this moment. And so like the idea that like Israel, oh, this is just a defensive, this is our ally and we're giving them defensive weapons is like, yeah, okay, that doesn't mean anything unless you're going to be a real one and say, if you were to turn around and advocate for Israel while it's in the process of doing a genocide, to say that like, well, they need anti-aircraft systems and they need our consistent, unlimited support so they can be as belligerent as they want without any repercussions whatsoever, then you have to say that about every country. You know what I mean? Why don't we give Hamas an Iron Dome then? It's literally protecting the civilians. I think they deserve it much more than Israel does, as a matter of fact. Israel's gotten it for years and years. Why don't we give Russia some anti-air defense systems then? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Do you think there's no civilians in Russia? You think there's no civilians in Gaza? All Gaza is pretty much all civilians. What are we talking about? Mostly children, as a matter of fact. So unless you advocate to give like, anti-aircraft weapons to Nazi Germany while it was conducting the Holocaust and doing World War II because there were civilians in the territories that we were bombing and we must, Nazi Germany has a right to defend itself, you can't make this fucking argument about Israel. It's ridiculous. It was completely ridiculous. Okay. So let's get started on this here. Members of Congress speak on the House floor. Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC's response and all that.
Israel is a nuclear armed nation, and they're less than $400 billion in debt. They are quite a thriving and successful nation. Their economy is strong. They're doing a great job for their people. However, the United States, the American citizens, are $37 trillion in debt. Yet we're continuing to send hundreds of billions of dollars in foreign aid constantly to foreign countries. This has to end at some point. Our problems here at home for Americans and the American taxpayer that are paying for all of this have gotten too large. And I also want to point out that Israel bombed a Catholic church in Gaza, and that an entire population is being wiped out as they continue their aggressive war in
I'm sorry, under no circumstances are you allowed to be outflanked on an issue of morality that, like, the overwhelming majority of the American public can see by Marjorie Titan fucking Green of all people. This is a ginormous failure of the Democratic Party. This is not even a question. This should be a moment for the Democrats to, in unison, advocate for this exact same thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, so that Marjorie Taylor Greene looks like an outsider who's a hanger-oner on this issue. Okay? What are we doing here? Even from a cynical, cold, calculated framework, if you're just interested in the politics of it all, if you're just interested in winning, okay, the idea that you would allow someone like this fucking psychopath to actually be the voice of moral clarity in American Congress is insane to me, okay? Obviously, we make different calculations here. We obviously consider this from the perspective of the humanity of the Palestinians that are being ruthlessly fucking slaughtered here, okay, by the apartheid state of Israel. It's completely unacceptable. It is completely inappropriate. It is such a disastrous failure of epic proportions that the Democrats are allowing the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world and the Tucker Carlsons of the world to basically be the thought leaders on an issue that 80% of the public is on board with, okay? This is ridiculous. This is completely ridiculous. That's it. The Diddycrats have did it again, okay? It makes no sense. It would be like if the Democrats were looking at the Epstein file saga and turning around and being like, let's not release them, actually. Trump is good on this issue, okay? It would be like that. You know, you have broad, unified support for serving justice to those who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And if the Democrats were just like coming out and being like, actually, nothing to see here. Haha, don't even do it. Don't even look at it. Look the other way, please. It blows my mind how bad the Democratic Party is. Oh my God. Not gonna lie, I thought you would defend her. What are you talking about? There have been plenty of instances where I've actually criticized AOC, specifically on this stuff. I am a fair assessor, okay? I grade politicians on a curve. I grade them as I match them up with what my expectations are of them, and my expectations are sound and reasonable. My expectations are not insane. I'm not demanding AOC do something above and beyond. I'm demanding that she does the fucking bare minimum. But then also, I guess on top of that, be a thought leader, be a leader in this party, especially at a time when we know for a fact that the majority of Jews in New York, for example, voted for Zohran Mamdani over Andrew Cuomo. Zohran Mamdani was uncompromising in his anti-Israel position. As a matter of fact, he said he was going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay? What are we doing? The proof is in the fucking pudding. At this point, any politician that has their ear to the ground, that refuses to recognize how much this calculation has changed, is not doing it because they're oblivious. They're doing it because they want the conversation to shift. They are trying to lead people back into a pro-Israel position. That's it. That's it.
Gaza. Now, we are heartfelt about the October 7th tragedy, that when people were killed, innocent people were killed. However, at some point, the United States needs to recognize that Israel is a strong country. They are nuclear armed, and they are capable of defeating their own enemies. It's right to stop funding this.
It is unexpected. I will say it is unexpected. I know everyone will say AOC, I told you so, AOCIA, blah, 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 blah. Listen to me, okay? Many people who say that are completely oblivious to her past voting record, okay? There have been instances where she has voted consistently to like defend Israel and stuff like that, which is, again, a non-starter for many, for every congressperson pretty much. But today is different, okay? We are 2 years into a genocide, and the attitude has changed. The attitude and the opinion, the public opinion has changed, okay? It's unacceptable. It is unacceptable after 2 years to still stand in defense of Israel, to say, oh, there's a difference between defensive weapons and offensive weapons. There is no difference. Very mad at AOC. I think people are misunderstanding this amendment vote, though. It's not selling out or being an agent or anything like that. It's likely a cynical attempt to fend off attacks in the future statewide, nationwide elections. Bizarre and out-of-touch risk aversion. Yes, bizarre and out-of-touch risk aversion. She ultimately voted against the funding package, but you can't fence it this, and the justification she gave doesn't make any sense. No, It doesn't make any sense. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I'm not saying she's AOCIA or anything like that. This is someone who is refusing to read the fucking room. And the irony here is that AOC is supposed to be a leader in the Democratic Party, a progressive voice in the Democratic Party. What are you doing? I'm not saying she's like compromised by AIPAC or whatever. That's not my opinion at all. My opinion is this is a profoundly bad political move. Okay? It is a profoundly bad political move. It basically shows that her political instincts are still, after a couple years of being in Congress, her political instincts, especially on this stuff, is so bad. Your expectations of AOC is what led you to be shocked several times over because you listened to her words and not her actions. What? No, that is incorrect. My expectations of AOC are working within the confines of the Democratic Party and being able to read the goddamn room, okay? I am an incredibly fair critic of AOC. You guys oftentimes, like you did with the Zoran endorsement, will go along with these narratives that like she is, CIA compromise, all this shit, okay? That's not the case. It's something worse than that. Ironically enough, it's silly. Let's see what Felix had to say. Truly and shockingly stupid. Beyond the nonsensical distinction between defensive and offensive weaponry, the state of constant warfare with neighboring countries is putting us in so many self-defense situations. Why is the one country entitled to free refills? It's fucking insane. You'd think it was the Bill of Rights. Israel has enough resources at its disposal for universal health care, a relatively gigantic military, and the Haredi Dole program. Do they just deserve free interceptor missiles more than other countries? I don't even think this is cynicism. AOC isn't a cynic. She's fucking stupid. A true cynic seeking to become the standard bearer of the electoral left would at least recognize the moment they're in. This is just pure idiocy and cowardice. That's what I mean. This is just a bad political decision for someone who wants to run for president. It is a bad political decision. It is the expectation. This is the expectation you would have. A bad political decision such as this one is supposed to come from the likes of Kamala Harris. It's not supposed to come from someone like AOC. Okay? It's just an incredibly bad political decision. I think she's 100% running for president in 2028 and thinks AOC doesn't even support defensive weapons. It's just too much heat and impossible to explain to ADL fed reporters, so is vibing through it, despite it making no sense. This, of course, doesn't justify the defense, but it's my read. Yeah, that's quite likely. But I think she's also such an article head that she's afraid of legitimizing MTG by voting on this. I think that Felix's assessment on this is entirely correct. She doesn't want to look like she's aligned with Marjorie Taylor Greene under any circumstance whatsoever. And she is way too beholden to like the old school woke, the old school woke people that work in these campaigns, that woke as a pejorative, like I mean like rad libs, you know what I mean? People that are like, why would you go on the Joe Rogan Experience type people, which is just like, you need to be a shark. You need to be a shark. You need to be vicious. None of that stuff works anymore. We're in the post-Trump era, okay? That's it. Fuck the rad libs. Who gives a shit? It does not make any sense whatsoever. Anyway, so initially she said, where was it? Initially she said something along the lines of like, Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment does nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel nor end the flow of U.S. munitions being used in Gaza. Of course I voted against it. What it does do is cut off defensive Iron Dome capabilities while allowing the actual bombs killing Palestinians to continue. I have long stated that I do not believe that adding the death count of the innocent victims of the war is constructive to its end. That is a simple and clear difference of opinion that has long been established. This is a bullshit, an incredibly cowardly way to fucking defend this decision, by the way. It would have been better off if she just said like I don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene and it's a cynical messaging bill or something. Even then it would have been cowardly for her to not vote for it. But it is ridiculous to say, oh, it's defensive weapons. What do you mean defensive weapons? Who gives a shit? What are we talking about? Everyone at this point, especially someone like AOC, should be aware that Israel gets to fucking literally do as much violence as possible because they know full well that we're always going to be footing the bill on the defensive side, okay? It's not about like letting Israeli civilians die. This is not the case, okay? The point is, if Israel feels like they are left unguarded, okay? Or if they feel the pressure from BDS, for example, boycott, divestments, and sanctions on the state of Israel, then they will stop doing genocide. That's the whole point. It is the least violent means of stopping Israel. It is fucking ridiculous. No one is saying like, oh, blow up Israeli civilians, please. That's fucking stupid. That's not the argument here. The argument is Israel will stand down if we stop giving them weapons, defensive weapons and offensive weapons, just all weapons. And it's ridiculous because no one would make the argument, yeah, look, we were only selling Germany anti-aircraft ammo. It was just defensive weapons. It would be ridiculous. That would be a ridiculous argument. How are you this dense? If Israel was limited in defensive weaponry, it would be forced to choose diplomacy and over war to come to the negotiation table sooner. You think it'd be this reckless in Gaza if it knew hundreds of rockets were headed its way? So short-sighted is the case. That's it. Like, this argument is not a real argument at all. This argument is an argument that you take if you are still trying to exist in the old world, okay? In the old way of politics. This is pre-October 7 politics. This is Bernie Sanders pre-October 7 being like, well, you know, Israel has a right to defend itself. It's done. That's over. It's especially over for you. This position maybe is not over for like a Kamala Harris, but for you, you're supposed to be the room reader. You're not supposed to be tone deaf. You're not supposed to be tone deaf to the fucking cries of the Palestinians. So I think it's just such bad politics. It is such bad politics. And then to make matters worse, she's also doubling, tripling, quintupling down on like attacking the left, which is only going to draw more enmity because like it's not even a good issue to criticize the left on. Because this is the one time when like liberals are fucking on board with this. You know what I mean? This isn't like oh, why aren't you advocating for seizing the means of production and or why aren't you advocating to like fucking do military intervention in Israel or something? You know what I mean? Like, that's not like the expectation here is for you, knowing full well that this bill is not even gonna this amendment is not gonna pass, still as a strong advocate for human rights to turn around and say, I don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I think that on this issue, we have to cut off weapons aid to Israel. That's it. Defensive, offensive, doesn't fucking matter. All aid. That's what sanctions are. What are we doing? We're supposed to be advocates for boycotting and we are supposed to be advocates for boycotting the state of Israel, for demanding sanctions to the state of Israel, for demanding divestment from the state of Israel. This is a part of that process. If you can't even do that, then what the fuck are we doing? I'm sorry, guys. This is completely ridiculous. This is way past my fucking red line, especially for someone like AOC, way past my red line. And the reason for why I say this, and I'm just some fucking random commentator, okay? Who the fuck am I, right? I'm just some dumbass. Who cares what I have to say and think on this? But like, this is way past the red line for that reason, because none of these things are pushed for so we kill Israelis, okay? We push for this so that Israel cannot maintain its current campaign of bloodshed, unlimited bloodshed, because we all know that Israel will stop before it gets to a point where they put themselves in harm's way. And it does not, like, this is bad policy. It's immoral. It's morally repugnant policy, okay? But worse than that, it's fucking bad politics. It's such bad politics, okay? It's incredibly bad politics. In this day and age, in this time, to stand as a voice of progress, as a voice of the progressives in Congress, as someone who's most likely going to run for president, I've said this before about AOC, like, she should never respond to Instagram and to people online, okay? She should never do that. One takeaway here is that AOC is way too online. She's getting upset over the narrative among Twitter leftists and hyper-focusing on the bad faith inaccuracies about her rather than the larger problem that she voted against defunding the Iron Dome. Google is free. If you're saying I voted for military funding, you are lying. Receipts attached. Drag me for my positions all you want, but lying about them doesn't make you part of the left. If you believe neo-Nazis are welcome and operating in good faith, you can have them. This, by the way, is the overall package, but she voted against the amendment. And not only did she vote against the amendment to cut off Iron Dome funding to Israel, but then also on top of that, she turned around and defended the position by claiming that this was, a way to stop civilians from being killed. Okay? A way to stop Israeli civilians from being killed. And it's like, that's not the point here. Okay? That's not the point at all. And also, on top of that, she's throwing her closest allies in Congress under the bus. If you believe neo-Nazis are welcome and operate in good faith, you can have them. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Summer Lee voted for this. Is Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Summer Lee saying, like, we love neo-Nazis? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And Al Green, too. Al Green as well. Is Al Green on board with neo-Nazis? No. Why is Al Green, a long-standing old Democrat, old school Democrat, why is Al Green on board with this amendment, but AOC is not? It is completely unacceptable. Okay? Every single person in the Progressive Caucus should be on board with this. Greg Kazar should be on board with this. Every single person in the Progressive Caucus, including AOC, should be on board with this. This is completely unacceptable. Okay? This is not a single issue thing, okay? Not that it matters. It's a fucking genocide, so obviously being single issue on the genocide is perfectly fine. But this is this is yet another instance where it's both bad policy and bad politics, okay? It's good policy to cut off weapons transfers to Israel entirely, okay? That is the only way that Israel will be forced to stop. It's good politics to be anti-Israel in this day and age. Not only is it moral, but it's also good politics because that's what people want. It is a way to communicate earnesty. That's why cynical actors like Marjorie Taylor Greene take advantage of the lack of interest in the Democrats here and make themselves look like leaders in this movement. I think they're not entirely wrong, though the pulse of the country is not yet at the removed defensive system stage. They will get there eventually, but this stupid fence sitting makes no one happy. No, that's ridiculous. There's a way to communicate this, okay? There is a way to communicate this. You're wrong, okay? I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is unironically closer to the fucking pulse of the average person than AOC is on this issue. It is shocking to say. You are wrong. Americans don't want fucking any aid going to Israel. What are we talking about? It's gone. It's done. Anyone that doesn't read the writing on the wall here is basically still operating on the old guard way of thinking. And you're exactly the same type of person who most likely looked at the Zoran stuff and was like, well, Zoran has to take a wishy-washy position on Israel because he wants to win. He wants to win. It's like, no, that's different. That's a different time and place in politics. We have moved beyond. We are in an entirely different space. The zeitgeist has shifted. Think about how much even a little bit of hope, a crumb of hope, can change political discourse in this country. Post Zoran, think about how every single person has recalculated. You got like the Andrew Schultzes of the world being like the Democratic Socialists are the only America First party. Like, think about that. How did that happen? How did that happen? How did we get to a position where the Democratic Socialists are seen as like the saviors of the Democratic Party by broad Democrat Party voters and the base of support? The Debras, the Barbaras, all of these people have decided that saying fuck Israel does not matter. And now MAGA is dominating the fuck Israel tip. It's crazy. With AOC's recent vote, this is worth consideration. Will clocked it too. Given AOC's most recent statements, I now fully believe Bernie Sanders and AOC purposely ducked the full interview they told us on they give him. I don't buy that they were running behind on schedule or whatever. I never did. I think they used him. Will clocked it too. That situation was weird. I was willing to give the benefit of the doubt, but come on, this is no shade to Hassan, and I could be wrong. But my instinct from that whole interaction was that they used him for his audience and never planned on giving him the push, giving him time to push him on anything. I don't think that's the case. But I mean, look, it's, I haven't had them on since then, so who knows? No, they had a speech. I don't think it's the case for this particular situation. I will continue to try to have them on. Anyway, she bailed on you at the DNC. Don't fall for this shit. No, that's not the case. Yeah, Bernie's private messages on Israel was also fucking terrible too. I didn't get a chance to talk about it either, but I mean, look, Andrew Cuomo, here's with audio, okay? Andrew Cuomo is at a Hampton synagogue talking about how he lost because Jews voted for Zoran.
Was a shock to me.
Hold on, I gotta pee.
I never saw it coming, frankly, and I lost, and it's embarrassing to lose, and it hurts to lose, and the way it happened was even worse because all the polls had me up 15 points. And all the geniuses say, you know, you're up 15 points, you want to play it safe, and he was nowhere on the radar screen, Mamdani, just nowhere on the radar screen. So we played it safe. I didn't engage him, I didn't debunk him enough, I wasn't aggressive enough, which is really ironic because all my life I'm too aggressive, I'm too combative, I'm too tough. And then on election day, there was an historic turnout that nobody has ever seen anything like it. There was an explosion of the under 30 vote. Under 30 white socialists who voted 3, 4, 5 times what anyone had ever seen. And that totally changed the numbers. There were about 100,000 young under 30 who had never voted before. I lost by 100,000 votes, 400,000 to 500,000. The young people who came out, they were socialists and they were pro-Palestinian. And I would wager that in that primary, more than 50% of the Jewish people voted for Mamdani.
Yep. This is the first time anyone has even recognized that Zoran won the Jewish vote in the most Jewish city after Tel Aviv. Okay? With the largest Jewish population.
More than 50%. Because with those young people, the under 30 people, they are pro-Palestinian and they don't consider it being anti-Israel. I am, as you know, 100% supportive.
No, they do. Plenty do. The difference is they just don't have an issue with being anti-Israel. Because why should they? Why would they? It's a fucking state, dude. It is a state, and it's a Nazi state, as a matter of fact. That's the point. No, maybe in the first couple of months after October 7, there were a lot of people who were like, oh, I just, I'm not anti-Israel, but also I think, maybe Israel is doing some war crimes. But we've pushed past that point at this juncture. We are so far behind. Like, especially depending on who you're talking to. What if this genocide thing is all in your head, though? Great question. Don't think Trump or the UK like genocides or killing babies seem unlikely. Maybe you're just mistaken. Yeah, no, totally. Trump hates genocides. You're right. My moral compass is Donald Trump. If Donald Trump doesn't think this is a genocide, then it must not be. Thank you. Or the UK, which is even funnier. They do love child murder, first of all. They love it. Our entire countries were designed around it. 13 colonies for the UK, America, indigenous genocide. We did it. The difference is we did it hundreds of years ago, whereas Israel's doing it right now in broad daylight, in real time, and you can watch it unfold. And you can talk to the people who are literally victims of it. There's a horrible counter argument, chatter. Anyway, welcome back to the internet. Don't you miss the break? No. I mean, I expected this. I expected to be here. I expected to come back. I think I'm dealing with the ridiculous reactions coming from people much better. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the planet. I'm happy to be back. I love my job. I am the most fortunate person on the planet. in terms of being able to communicate my perspective to tens of thousands of people every single day. And, you know, that's it. I'm happy. I'm glad that I took a break, though. It definitely helped.
I spoke to that everywhere. That's my tradition. It was my father before me. I was the most aggressive governor in the United States on behalf of Israel. I was the first against BDS. We did a number of trade missions back and forth. We have the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. And I was proud to be the strongest advocate. But many, especially younger people, don't consider saying anti-Israel is different than being anti-Semitic. Being anti-Israel to them means anti-Bibi's policies.
Okay, these guys are playing catch up, okay? This is the broad point, though. Yes, being anti-Israel means being anti-Benjamin Netanyahu's policies. That is definitely the most common attitude. We have a different opinion on this, okay, in this community, and it is important for you to understand that you are still at the cutting edge of this discourse, and people will inevitably arrive at your position, but it does not matter if you want to understand what people's actual attitude is. Yes, there are a lot of people who are fuck Israel, but when they say like, oh, I don't like Israel, I don't like what Israel's doing, they don't have like a real theoretical or real like fully fleshed out ideological disagreement with Zionism being like a fascist ideology. That's not. You have that opinion because you watch me. You have that opinion because you have done at least some level of reading into the matter. It's entirely separate from most people's opinion. Most people just go, why are we giving money to these guys? I don't like it. I don't get it. And also, yeah, this is a incredibly bloody affair. I don't want to be a part of this. And there are a lot more people now that certainly recognize that it's a genocide. Okay? So just understand that, like, you are at the bleeding edge of discourse. Most people's attitude on this is killing is bad. Killing children is wrong. I don't like to see dead children. I don't really like it. But my expectation from the likes of AOC, for example, is to read the room and see where the trajectory is for discourse and be ahead of it and be a leader that actually moves people in that direction, because that is beneficial for her in the long run anyway, because people will remember that AOC was in the front lines on this issue. Okay. And the fact that she's not there on this is crazy to me, especially at a time like this when you can say, I'm against the principle, I'm against Israel, I'm against what they're doing, and then and not get punished for it.
Anti-Israel government policies. And they are. And they were highly motivated, and they came out to vote. And that totally distorted what was expected. And in many ways, it was a national wave that has been building. This socialist wave in the Democratic Party, this AOC, Bernie Sanders going across the country, the No Kings, brought out hundreds of thousands of young people at rallies all across the country, basically fueled by anti-Trump. But anti-Trump then fits with socialism, then fits with pro-Palestinian, and he was the perfect vehicle for this under 30 wave.
I mean, he is incredibly reactionary. Like, the No King stuff is like socialist is hilarious. Obviously, like, he sounds like a Republican because he is a Republican, okay? Anyway, at Hampton Synagogue this morning, Andrew Cuomo said he didn't debunk Mamdani enough. Cuomo added that Mamdani got more than 50% of the Jewish vote. David Grossman says, assuming this is true, what would it mean if a clear majority of Jewish voters in the most Jewish city in America, in the traditional Jewish party, voted for a candidate who the Jewish establishment orgs told them was anti-Semitic? Hard to think of a more forceful rejection. You don't even need the majority in this situation, okay? Even if you got like 40% or 30% of the Jewish vote, that's still incredibly, that is an incredible, that is a incredible debunking of the fucking narrative that, like, the Jewish orgs that are invested primarily in defending Israel unconditionally in this time and in this day and age have any sort of real motion amongst the Jewish voter base in the Democratic Party, which, remember, the Democratic Party, 75-25 votes. The Jewish vote goes 75-25 historically to the Democratic Party. Okay, that's it. So when we talk about the Democrats being 80-20 on giving weapons to Israel or recognizing the genocide that Israel is doing, we're talking about a whole lot of Jews too, okay? That's it. 75% of Jews historically vote for the Democratic Party. Regardless, during the primary, I was careful to say what polling showed, that Cuomo had 30% of the Jewish vote and Mamdani had 20%. For Cuomo to claim he lost the outright majority is a pretty huge shift. It speaks to what has been happening gradually over the last decade, now accelerated by Gaza, that Cuomo could even claim this speaks to a Jewish vote that has broken dramatically with institutional Judaism, with Israel as a clear fault line. I mean, dude, look at this community. We have a fuck ton of Jews in this community. Okay? There is a generational split here. I've been saying this since October 7. Okay? There is a generational split, and it's not different for Jews either. Okay? That's it. That's it. This is not about Judaism. No matter how hard Israel and Israel defenders try to claim that this is all about protecting and preserving Judaism, Israel is the only way to preserve and protect Jews all around the world. That's a lie, okay? No matter how much people wish cast that into oblivion, it is very clear that young Jews, just like everyone else, have seen the death and the destruction and have made up their own minds. And they're like, I don't want this to be a part of my identity. It's perfectly understandable to not want to be associated with a fucking neo-Nazi enterprise like the state of Israel. That's it. It's crazy. Nelk went on full damage control for hosting Netanyahu and are currently on live pleading with their fans, and some of their fans asked them to talk to Fuentes, and he pounced on the opportunity to send their platforming literal Nazi opposition to Netanyahu DM Steiny. I know. Steiny's been blowing up my phone since the BB interview took place, but I haven't had time to respond. But I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him when I have time. Not just young Jews. Did you see the interview with Mandy Patinkin and his wife? Brought me to tears. Yes. They're not going to have Nicholas Fuentes on, dude. Don't be ridiculous. All right. Tarek Kenny Shawah says, my friend Shabaranks and El Gindi, Dylan Saba, and Khaled El Gindi, and others have explained at length why the Iron Dome is essential to Israel's shield of impunity. What I find insane is that one could call what Israel's doing in Gaza a genocide and still vote to fund their military in the same breath. If you believe Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza, and that is the word AOC has used, giving even a single dollar to the military committing the genocide is an explicit act of support. Cutting a genocidal entity off from any type of funding / support should be the bare minimum, which is the truth. That is the truth. It is bare minimum. It is bare minimum. It's ridiculous. Hold on. Bro, Steiny is talking to Nick right now. What do you mean you doubt it? Oh my God. That's so fucking, oh God, it's over. It's a fucking entire generation of little neo-Nazis that are going to prop up left and right. Jesus fucking Christ. They asked me to go on their live stream and I was like, I didn't respond because I was fucking working. AOC voted to still fund new 500 mil to Israel. What do you say about that? Brother, are you not listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth? There is no funding to Israel, okay? That is, like, if you want to be any politician that comes across as earnest, you cannot say on the one hand that Israel's doing a genocide, and then on the other hand you go, and the genocidal nation still has civilians in it and we have to defend them. Okay? It doesn't work that way. Because the more you give aid to Israel in defensive aid or even financial aid or any sort of aid, the more Israel can operate with impunity. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's that fucking simple. That's it. To be clear, should not vote for the funding. Doesn't make our stupid and bad vote any better. I think that if you're not gonna vote for the funding, for you to come out and take a decision like this one makes it even dumber against one of the amendments. Okay? Like, that makes it even dumber overall. That shows terrible political instincts. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. That's it. You're ultimately not even fucking, and then on top of that, to come out and defend it too. And to be like, Israel has a right to defend itself is ridiculous. No, it does not. It does not. It does not. It does not. If they want to defend themselves, they can do so with their own fucking weapons. We've already given enough. Okay? The idea that, like, Israel has a right for us to defend it whenever it does incredibly violent things to every other country in the region is fucking insane. It's not it's just so beyond the pale. It is such a ridiculous fucking thing to say. He's a madman. Trump's team frets about Netanyahu after Syria strikes. Bibi acted like a madman. Oh, welcome back, Brandon, by the way. Welcome back, Joe Brandon. The Brandonization of the Trump administration is complete, by the way. Here it is. He's a madman. Trump's team frets about Netanyahu after Syria strikes. So funny that Tucker Wright has its own helpless, fuming, concerned Trump alternative universe. And like what the MSNBC said, it's laundered via Barack Ravid. The bipartisan myth that Netanyahu is manipulating your guy is essential to maintaining partisan delusions and national innocence. That's it. That's it. The notion that like Israel is simply duping our big, beautiful boys, Israel is simply duping our big, beautiful boys is fucking stupid. Okay? The idea that Israel is duping our big, beautiful boys is fucking ridiculous. That we are somehow infallible, that America would do the right thing in this situation if it wasn't for, like, depending on what level of conspiracy you believe, pedophile blackmail operations or whatever that Mossad is conducting, or the fact that there's just like too much money that they're giving to American congresspersons. Like, that's not the case. These guys either A, don't give a shit, or B, like it. Okay? Israel does not jump without us saying jump. Israel says how high when we say jump. Now, over the course of the past couple of decades, post 9/11, I would say that Israel has slowly but surely taken up more space in the decision-making process, okay? But it's ultimately still our attack dog. That does not change the dynamic even one bit, because these decisions, these like messaging bills matter for that reason. Because if we were to shut off Israel's weapons, it's over. Tomorrow, they're the most peaceful nation on the fucking planet. Do you understand? That's it. That's it. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump was caught off guard by the Israeli bombings in Syria and on the church in Gaza and spoke to Netanyahu in both cases and asked him to rectify things. Fucking bullshit. Oh, man. Oh, dude. The Brandonization is complete. Is Israel like a U.S. client state then? Israel is an extension of the United States. Israel is more than a client state. It's basically just a state. But having said that, Israel has slowly but surely, especially accelerated under the Biden administration and continued under the Trump administration, or I would say it accelerated under the Trump administration Trump 1, has taken the driver's seat and is now leading American Middle Eastern policy as opposed to simply being a vessel or a vehicle for America's interests in the region. Okay? In the past, it was a U.S. proxy, and slowly but surely, because of its importance, bad take, cutting off weapons is not going to stop their bloodlust. They will easily turn on someone else and continue by their own means. Peace is not in their vocabulary. That's not true. This is the most idiotic argument of all time. If that was the case, Israel wouldn't spend billions of dollars manufacturing consent in American media and also through all of these like groups, all of these like advocacy groups. You're out of your fucking mind. You are delusional. America has supplied Israel 70% of all defensive and offensive weapons used since October 7 have been supplied by the United States of America. Without us, Israel would not be able to do anything. Okay? You are deluding yourself. There is no one else Israel could go to. And it's such a short period of time, as a matter of fact. No one. It is ridiculous. We are the country that allows Israel to be as violent as possible, and this is a lie that people tell to themselves. Oh, it wouldn't stop their bloodlust. Okay, then we'll fucking invade. Okay? Because I've explained this a million times over. First, it starts with boycott, divestments, and sanctions. Okay? Let's say America says, we're stopping offensive weapons transfers to Israel. You have to stop. Israel says, we're not going to stop. All of a sudden, they don't have enough weapons. How are they going to continue? But let's say they still have enough in their stockpile, and they continue doing this after we said stop. Then come the sanctions, economic sanctions that Israel would choke the Israeli economy without constant American aid, without constant American intervention in the Israeli market. It's over, right? And let's say they still continue. They say, no, we have so much bloodlust. Okay? We have to kill more Palestinians. It doesn't matter. We'll kill ourselves. Okay. Once the full crippling sanctions come in and they still don't stop, then you invade. It's that simple. Okay? The first step in this process is boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. It's that simple. What happened? I don't know what took place. It was a weird graphical glitch. Purple screen. Okay. Regardless. Listen to my words, okay? Listen to my words. It never has to get to that point anyway. Hold on. I'm tracking the errors as well. I hope you guys understand. This is the reality. Reagan called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin. No, I know. That part doesn't even matter. Yes, in the past, America has also, even Joe Biden has actually stopped Israel's bloodlust in the past. It's ridiculous to say that this is not the same dynamic still doesn't exist. Joe Biden in 2001 stopped Israel's siege with one phone call. Okay, with one phone call. That's all it took. Anyone who acts as though Israel can continue this genocide without American and Western support is deluded, is lying to themselves. Okay, you are lying to yourselves. I don't know why, but it's just not the truth. Oh, 2021. Sorry, did I say 2001? Joe Biden stopped Israel's siege in 2021 with one phone call. That's all it took. Ronald Reagan did the same. George H.W. Bush did the same. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. The idea that we are so powerless, we're so utterly powerless in the face of Israel is ridiculous. Israel is the ultimate American client state. Their entire military apparatus and government are relying on the United States. No other major country except maybe Egypt is that relying on the U.S. in the same way. Israel's a proxy, except we barely even bother to do oversight on that proxy anymore. People often mistake that for capture of the U.S. government. It's beyond that, okay? It's not just that Israel is a client state or a proxy that we no longer barely do oversight over. We have never really done oversight over, and Israel has at times actually greatly overstepped its boundaries, like USS Liberty, for example. But the reason why we kind of allow that is because of the importance that Israel holds for American interests in the region, whether it's a Cold War ally that we desperately need to make sure that we fucking squash and stamp out any sort of like pan-Arabic nationalism that might actually manifest itself in the region that could turn into, dare I say, socialist policies and allegiance to the USSR. These were all incredibly important historical reasons as to why we have allowed Israel to overstep and do things that no other country, no other client state would be allowed to do. Now it's different. After years and years and years of propaganda and advocacy groups taking root in American society, Israel's gotten far too comfortable. Israel also now is directly in the driver's seat. Okay, instead of the American State Department telling Israel, like, it's okay if you do a little bit of violence here, but, you know, cut it out now. Israel is now in the driver's seat. Israel is basically post 9/11 telling America, this is what you need to do. And America's going, yep, that's right. That's what we're going to do. What is this? You covered it well. How many countries support Israel? They could avoid the sanctions by receiving a sub from other countries so they no longer see the ads and continue the... Okay, dude, Jesus Christ. Please explain this thought process. Financially supporting groups that topple Assad in Syria, bomb Syria because it's helping Hezbollah, Iran, topple Assad after 10 plus year struggle and war, appoint a Western puppet president that will do our bidding, still, question mark, still bomb Syria. Yes. That's what I mean. Israel is fucking up the bag for America. Like, them doing this again. Oh, it glitched again? Okay, it's, guys, the IRL Toolkit servers are eating. They're getting pummeled, okay? The IRL Toolkit servers are getting pummeled. This is the best possible option that we have at our disposal currently. In any case, hold on. Interestingly, no audio loss at all. Okay, where was I? Yeah, the idea that like America has no control over Israel is completely fucking ridiculous. It is a lie that people tell themselves. It is a lie that people tell others for some fucking weird reason. Not sure exactly why people tell this lie. It's I mean, I do know why people tell this lie. It's a way to basically wash our hands of the morality of the situation, to claim that basically you know, Israel's just doing all this and we're just simply powerless in the face of all of the casual cruelty that Israel demonstrates with regular frequency. But it's not the case at all. It's a way to fucking deny moral culpability, okay? And it is not true. It is completely not true. And it's not true when the Chuck Schumer and the Brandon and the Kamala Harrises of the world try to fucking make this claim. It's not true when like Ethan Klein tries to say this fucking idiotic bullshit. And it's certainly not true when Trump is president either. Okay? We are trying to dodge accountability. That's all this is. That's also another clear-cut indication that you're talking to someone who is like, running on patriotic fumes, which is why it's such a good, it's such a successful way to propagandize. That's why Nazis get a lot of play on this, or even Tucker Carlson gets a lot of play on this, where it's like, oh, our politicians are actually simply being manipulated into taking these decisions, or Israel would do this regardless. Like, these are all different ways in which people try to lie to themselves in order to wash their hands of this. But that's precisely the reason why, like, anti-Semites get a decent foothold in this discourse, because they can always claim like, no, America would never do this. Israel simply has figured out a way to manipulate American politicians by blackmail or whatever. It's just fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. Here's Adam Johnson. As I noted 2 years ago when Dems voted for Saudi defensive weapons, there is no such thing as supporting illegitimate military campaigns with defensive weapons. It makes no sense, and we know this because no one who claims to do so supports giving Russia or Iran an Iron Dome. In November 2021, when Biden White House announced it would sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, it insisted it was okay because they were defensive. A Human Rights Watch report on Saudi death squads targeting Ethiopian migrants shows how those defensive trainings and arms were used. There is no such thing as defensive weapons for a country that is engaging in an offensive genocide, okay? Just like you would never make this advocacy for giving Iran an Iron Dome, there are civilians there. Just like you would never actually make this advocacy for Russia getting an Iron Dome, there are civilians there. Ukrainian drones are pummeling Moscow, you know what I mean? Like, how fucking ridiculous. Ironically enough, Israel stopped Ukraine from getting a fucking Iron Dome when Russia was pummeling Ukraine, and Ukraine is our proxy. So get the fuck out of here. From a clinical standpoint, Zoran showed that you can totally avoid spats online by just never mentioning or explaining moderation. When he left his shift on policing unstated, nobody cared. While writers who explicitly said they liked what he was doing got pilloried. When you just avoid bringing up sore spots with your supporters, it puts the impetus on others to start an outrage cycle, which often is perceived as wrecker behavior and pisses people off. But when you light the spark yourself, it gets rid of that barrier entirely. This is a technical argument that Ed Ingermentum is making that is absolutely correct. And the simplest way to do this is never engage with the online left. Just don't do it. So it's double stupid. Not only was her vote on the amendment, the vote no on the amendment was wrong and dumb, but then turning around and consistently elevating like leftist voices that are criticizing you is additionally dumb. You should never do that, even when you're in the wrong, like in this case. Okay? If I was in AOC's corner right now, if I was one of her campaign staffers, I'd be like, please do not, under any circumstance, tweet. Okay? Do not respond. Do not read any of the fucking replies. Just do not respond, because that also elevates the story. That also makes it worse. And I say this as someone who is a leftist voice that constantly gets fucking pilloried by other members of the left all the time. It does not matter. Only time will show your true motivations. And the reality of the matter is, in this circumstance, her true motivations are on the wrong, okay? Not only is it wrong policy, it's immoral, but it's also wrong politically as well. But you should stop tweeting about the left regardless, because it only makes it worse. So don't listen to criticism. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Don't listen to criticism, okay? Because your criticism in this situation is warranted, but in 99% of the situations is not fucking warranted, okay? That's it. It's just bad across the board. Like, think about it. The optics of her centering herself during one of the worst mass starvation events over the weekend, how does she think this makes this shit better? Exactly. It's the number one thing you should not do. It's the number one thing you should not do. You should never. Of course, not making dumb decisions like funding Israel is the first step here. There's no way out of criticism if your choices don't even make sense from an electoral perspective. But in other areas where there are obvious trade-offs, the critics can often be very inconsistent. Exactly. Like, AOC has called it a genocide before many other members of Congress, okay? Openly on the floor of the Congress. That's important. Okay, that should not be discounted. But this action right here goes directly against that. because this action right here is in the aftermath of other people also arriving at her position, her earlier position that it was a genocide is the correct position. So then when you turn around and you're like, but defensive weapons are a necessity because we need to avoid further bloodshed is ridiculous. That's it. I'm not going to lie. It is getting old seeing you get disappointed in liberals. Chatters, I need you to understand something, okay? Politicians are not your saviors, okay? Politicians are politicians. They are our representatives. Sometimes they will represent your interests. Other times they will not. Stop assuming that they're going to save you. Okay? They're not going to fucking save you. That's the difference between you and I, is that I see them as a weapon to wield. Okay? I don't see them as my salvation. I don't see them as the solution to these problems. I simply see them in an incredibly pragmatic way. Okay? I see them as a potential thought leader that can reach out to a much broader audience and get them to also arrive at the position of truth, especially when it comes to Israel conducting a genocide. Okay? That's the difference. A lot of you, for some weird fucking reason, think that like AOC is going to be your savior. You think that she is going to be 100% on board with every single thing that you believe. Some of you also think that for Zoran Mamdani, for example. I don't. And I love Zoran. I think Zoran is great. Okay? Zoran is a 33-year-old Muslim socialist who is an avowed anti-Zionist, okay? I have never felt as closely represented in American politics until this man. And even then, I understand that there are limitations, okay? I understand that there are going to be moments where I'm at odds with him, where I disagree with him. Use politicians as a jump-off point to organize. Use politicians to create networks of pressure, okay? That's it. No one is coming to save you. China is not coming to save you. AOC is certainly not going to save you. You have to save yourself. You have to organize. That's the point. I understand this reality. Many of you don't. That's the problem. That's why you get you get into this stan culture behavior where you feel like your favorite K-pop star is dating someone that you disagree with. And you're like, oh, I can't believe she would betray me like this. This is not a betrayal. Okay, it's only a betrayal if you thought that AOC was like your champion. Okay, this is not a betrayal. This is a fucking stupid decision, both politically and on the policy side. It is an immoral decision. Okay, do you understand? Mevlevi Maoist, this is insanely rich coming from you. You couldn't even tag her on Twitter. Little bro, save us from this act. You're still doing this. Okay, I have the largest platform on the left, you dumb fuck. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, you couldn't even tag her on Twitter. You think tagging AOC on Twitter is more impactful than what I'm doing right now? What are you, fucking stupid? This is your problem. You think everything is like Twitter likes and Twitter back and forths or some shit. There is an arena filled to the brim with fucking DSA members in this chat right now. What the fuck do you mean? She exhibited this behavior for a while. You haven't called it out? Yes, I have. You just are stupid. And your calculation is not the correct one, okay? There are red lines that you cannot cross. This is one of them. She has crossed it. Aren't you adding insult to injury by commenting on this? How do you expect her not to respond? Because she's a fucking politician, okay? She's a politician. Of course, as a political commentator, when a politician, whether I like them or not, whether I am in contact or not with them, when they do something like this, I'm obviously going to respond. I'm obviously going to criticize them. They are, once again, they are not perfect saviors, okay? Anyway, also, I have criticized AOC many times, especially when it comes to foreign policy related things. She crossed it in 2021. Don't be an easy mark. She voted for Iron Dome funding. See, this is what I mean, okay? Do you think voting for the Iron Dome funding in 2021 is the same as voting for the Iron Dome funding? Morally speaking, it is the same. I totally understand. But when you're thinking about it from a political perspective as a politician, do you think it's the same environment that we're in? In 2021, when she voted for Iron Dome funding, Israel's favorability in the eyes of the American public, morally, yes, it's the same. I don't care about context. Yeah, well, then you don't have to have this conversation. Because I'm on your side. I have the same perspective, okay? But we're having a totally separate conversation here, okay? You need to bracket this off as policy and politics, okay? Morality in this circumstance is irrelevant. Okay? We all already know that this is a totally repulsive and immoral act. Everyone is in agreement on this. Do you understand? You have a direct line to AOC Holder to the fire. Democrats just have to vote for the kill baby bombs. It's fucking monstrous of her to be like, this is a genocidal state, but I want to fund it. At least other members of Congress say it's not a genocide and AIPAC money. AOC doing it for the love of the game. Yes. Anyway, saying morally it is the same, yes, I don't care about context, means that you shouldn't even be a part of this conversation anyway. And I don't mean that to like silence you. I'm saying that like, you're right. Morally, you're correct. But we're not having a conversation about morals. We're talking about politicians and what they seek to do, okay? Because this is already immoral. It was immoral in 2021, but now it's not only immoral, but it's also a stupid mistake. It is literally a additionally stupid thing to do, both on the policy front and also on the political front. Do you understand? This is extra. This is extra bad. So when I go back to the 2021 dynamic, when I talk about that, I'm not saying that was a good decision back then or that was a moral decision back then. The moral calculus is still the same. However, now she has no fucking reason to make this decision. That's it. So you're arguing against something. You're arguing on an issue that we are not at odds on. Do you get it? It's basically like when people yell at me when during the election cycle, I talk about like I will talk about, hold on, I'm going to talk to the Nelk boys. During the election cycle, I'll talk about like, during the election cycle, I'll sometimes talk about fucking, what politicians are doing politically. I'll talk about policy. I'll talk about politics. I'll talk about electability. And people will be like, why do you care about electability? It's like, I'm a political commentator. It is my job to explain why something is either moral or immoral in terms of like the behavior that politicians are engaging in. It is also my job to explain to you if it's good policy or if it's good politics. Okay, these are the three dynamics that you have to take into consideration. That's it. It's my job. I'm supposed to analyze these things, and that's precisely what I'm doing. And some of you have already given up on elections in general. Okay, and that's fine. I totally understand why you would be in this like deep, dark, nihilistic cesspit from all of the fucking consistent advocacy that you've engaged in and the lack of response from your politicians that you voted for that has caused you to feel this way, okay? But if you're already saying like it's a bourgeois election, it's a bourgeois democracy, it's not real, it only represents the interests of capital, it only represents empire, then this is not a conversation that you have to, this is not a conversation that you have to be a part of where you're like, well, I told you so. Like, it's like, yeah, I know that. You're telling someone who understands where you're coming from. Okay? Hold on. 1 second. Fuck. Why is chat moving slow? 40K viewers? Real question. Because I'm botted. No, I'm kidding. Is it the same similar worldview, but from a different angle? Okay, hold on. I got to start the virtual camera real quick. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we gotta get your camera on.
1 second, I'm gonna turn it on right now. Hold up. My camera, OBS virtual.
You're streaming too, right?
Yeah, I'm live right now to 41,000
We see
people.
ourselves. We don't see you though.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn on the camera.
My old friend.
It's on.
What's
How
up?
was the bachelor party?
Good to meet you over Kid Story.
Yeah, you're the last Nelk standing that I have not met.
And then you met and introduced you guys.
Okay. All right. So I haven't seen what you guys did, but I assume that it's a.
Wait, you can hear us, right?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Good. All right, let's hear what you gotta say.
Okay. Hold on.
Can you
All
also
right.
say hello to my friend Kyle here?
What's up, Kyle?
What up, bro? Where are you at right now?
Where am I at right now?
Yeah.
I'm in LA. I'm in my house.
Sonny said you were doing a little bachelor party today.
Yeah, no, I just got back from Vegas yesterday. I was in Vegas.
Oh, nice.
All right, so you guys interviewed the Adolf Hitler incarnate, Benjamin Netanyahu, and now everybody's yelling at you guys. I assume, right? Is that what's going on?
Yes, we're getting definitely some yells.
Yeah. Okay, so first and foremost, who the fuck set that up? Was it Miriam Adelson?
Well, we actually toured the White House right before. when he was in DC.
Someone must have. Benjamin Netanyahu wasn't like, I love the Nelk boys. I'm a big consumer of Happy Dad, and then was like, let's do this.
Well, we've had Trump on a few times.
Some communications team at the White House hit us up, connected us with their communications team, and presented us the opportunity to do it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, let's do it. Sounds great.
I mean, yeah, I can say it again. I've said it a few times, but I can't speak to podcasting as a whole. And, other podcasters, they'll have people on with just people they've had good relationships with, or their friends, or people they agree with. But with the Full Sun podcast, hate it or love it, right or wrong, if we ever get the opportunity to have a controversial guest on, we're never going to turn it down. Because in my opinion, what we want to do with the Full Sun podcast on is we're not afraid to have controversial people on. We're going to ask them questions. Sure, we're probably not the best at asking questions. We're not the best journalists, never claimed to be. So we might not be the best at pressing them. But in my opinion, it's up to the viewer to form their own educated opinion. Like, we have someone controversial on, we ask them questions. I think people give us a little too much credit when they say, oh, you're platforming him, or like, I think, sure, we have a young audience, but they're not fucking stupid. And we don't think they're stupid whatsoever. And I think this podcast is a perfect example of that. If you go and read the comments, just because we have someone on and we're sitting beside someone, people aren't going to be like, oh my God, Nelk's with them. Like, I fucking love this person. Like, yeah, wait, that's just not the way
I don't think anybody loves Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't even think American presidents like Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, though.
But and I don't think you can listen. I don't think you can platform the fucking prime minister of Israel. That's not my argument. I don't really give a shit about that. My question is, like, do you feel like there is a culpability that you have? Because, like, look, Donald Trump is a contentious figure, and obviously he's responsible for a metric ton of pain and violence as well, but so is every other American president. That's one thing. But Benjamin Netanyahu is, like, unique in the sense that he's also a foreign leader. So I guess the question is, like, what because he's getting something out of this, right? He's getting something out of this where he gets to, I guess, like, try and humanize himself.
That's the thing that's on is we'll have anyone on. Like, next episode, we're going to have someone on with the complete opposite ideology that we've already been planning before this podcast came out.
Who are you guys having on?
I mean, I'd love to hear your suggestions. We have from different friends. You could DM us after if you don't want to say them live, but we're talking to a few different people, and we want to choose the right person to kind of represent the opposite side.
Okay, but Benjamin Netanyahu isn't just like a podcaster, you know what I mean? Like, he's literally the fucking prime minister that is a war criminal by the International Criminal Court. He's, like, literally branded as a war criminal. And it's unique because, like, the International Criminal Court is a European institution, and they've never actually criticized an American or anyone who's an American ally in the past. So it's like, he's killed so many children that even the International Criminal Court was like, damn, this guy fucking sucks. Yeah. He's literally like interviewing Adolf Hitler.
I think if you watch it though too, I think yes. I think me and Steiny could have pressed him a little bit harder, but we did ask him, what is your response to when people say you're starving children in Gaza? Do you think October 7th could have been prevented? Are you trying to implement regime change in Iran? Like, Americans don't want another war with regime change. So we definitely did ask him some questions that I think people wanted to know.
Okay, what did he say? I mean, of course, he said
for starving children in Gaza, he said that they bring the food in and Hamas steals it and then sells it.
That's a lie. You know what I mean? Like, that's so.
Right.
So here's the thing.
So what's your opinion? So, Son, you got to remember that one side's gonna say one thing, and the other side's gonna say it's a lie.
I don't think you guys having a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu is the interesting point of contention here for me, at least. Like, I mean, I think it's in and of itself, it's like worthy of scrutiny, because it's like, you guys, it's like interviewing Adolf Hitler. Like, would you interview Adolf Hitler during the Holocaust if you had the opportunity? Probably not, right? And we had less information on the Holocaust while it was happening than we do on this modern iteration of a genocide, because we get to see it in real time because we have the internet.
Okay, so wait, what's your response to what he answered us? You didn't even talk about that.
It's a fucking lie. No human rights organization that works on the ground, from the UN to the World Food Program, has ever fucking has ever agreed to the Israeli position that this is all Hamas stealing aid or whatever. As a matter of fact, they've openly said that that is not the case at all. It's just a way for Israel to continue justifying its starvation policies against the entire civilian population of Gaza so that they can claim that, like, oh, Hamas is just like stealing this aid. It's bullshit. They've never actually given a single piece of fucking evidence for this. It is just a claim that people have to supposedly take at face value because Israel said it. It's a lie.
And what's the other side's proof? Just so we can play both sides here.
Well, the other side is not even like the side of the Palestinians. I'm not even offering the side of the Palestinians. The Palestinians obviously think that that's bullshit as well. But the other side is an unbiased third party. The World Food Program is not, you know, on board with Hamas. The World Food Program or the UN is not Hamas or anti-Semitic or anti-Israel beyond, you know, the obvious reasons why you would be anti-Israel because they're doing these things and then lying about it.
So what's your overall opinion of us? Like Kyle just stated that we're having a world leader on. That's
I think
what we're more focused on.
I think it was dumb. I'll be honest. Because it's not.
But you would do the same thing, Hassan, if you had the opportunity. 100%.
No, I mean,
Sure,
there's a difference, though. I'm well equipped to have a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu because when he says something like that, I can turn around and be like, well, the World Food Program has said that, you know, there is no evidence to suggest that Hamas is stealing aid. Whereas you don't have that follow up in that situation. And Benjamin Netanyahu knows that and his team knows that, which is precisely why he went on the Nelk Boys podcast and he didn't go on, you know, my stream or something. And I don't even know if I would honestly have a conversation with him if given the opportunity.
In my opinion, I think that, like, for example, I think Trump is really good on a podcast. Like, obviously, that's why he did his whole podcast. I mean, he's clearly a good speaker. Like, you can't deny that. But I think, in my opinion, just because we platform someone, it doesn't necessarily equate to, like, a positive outcome for the guest. And I think this is, like, a perfect example of that. Like, this could even be a negative thing.
No, I think in the grand scheme of things, like it's not moving the needle because Benjamin Netanyahu gets positive coverage from every outlet. He gets positive coverage from every outlet. So you guys are marginal in that regard. It's not like all that significant. But if you're looking for like, if you're looking
that's
for,
what I'm trying to say though.
What do you mean?
Like if Fox News has him on and they're more supportive of him than we have him on. CNN
yeah, no, that's why I'm saying it's marginal. Like you having him on is marginal as opposed to like him going on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, CBS, all of those other outlets. And then not just Benjamin Netanyahu, but like Israeli envoys going on CNN every night and saying, well, we blew up this, mosque or we blew up this church because Hamas was in it or whatever. That is ultimately playing a role in crafting this elaborate narrative that Israel is always in the right, Israel has a right to defend itself, and that they have to do these things. They have to contextualize this violence. Like all of that plays a much larger role. You guys just basically are presenting a similar perspective that you get from CNN or Fox News, but now to a younger audience that's going to look at, I guess, maybe Benjamin Netanyahu and be like, he's a chill guy that you can hang with, but I don't even know if he's capable of doing that.
Wait, Hassan, here's kind of where I disagree with you. Is if you watch CNN or you watch Fox News, you kind of know what narrative you're looking for. And with us playing that neutral ground, you don't know what you're going to get, right? So that's the differentiator. And like we told, I don't know if Kyle mentioned this earlier, but we're having a pro-Palestinian on as our very, very soon here. So
I don't know who you guys are having on, but I mean, it depends on.
What I'm trying to say is like, how are we, if we're a neutral podcast, how are we anything like either side? If you know what you're going to get when you tune into either network.
No one is fully neutral in that regard, right? Because like that's why I asked, like, would you, if Osama bin Laden wasn't dead, would you interview him?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Would you?
If Osama bin Laden wasn't dead, yeah, of course. And the same but it would be contentious in the same vein as the Benjamin Netanyahu interview. Like there are people that I interview that the American audiences would consider.
If you got bin Laden, you'd never be able to grill him because you would have had to go to Afghanistan. You would have mission to a cave, and they would have.
No, I mean we're setting up a hypothetical scenario where bin Laden is able to like connect via Discord. You know what I mean? Like obviously, I'm not gonna fucking interview bin Laden with a gun trained on my head. That would not be a situation. Like that would not be the case. He's dead anyway. In the hypothetical,
right. Well, I mean,
would you be able to?
We interviewed him in the White House with fucking 20 people standing around us in suits that we didn't know who they were. So it's almost,
I think in that
maybe not the same
situation, you
situation,
act a little
but
different.
yeah,
I mean, respectfully.
Okay, so my point is, it would not. Would you be neutral with Bin Laden in the same way that you're like a neutral podcast?
I think we would do our best to ask him tough questions.
Okay, all right.
I think
What
there's
about
a sense
ISIS?
of understanding too, right? Well,
What
it's not.
about
I think there's-
about Adolf Hitler?
I think we'd always kind of play the neutral role.
You would play a neutral role interviewing Adolf Hitler. I don't think that's the case. I think you're just saying that right now because you want to.
We're just not the best at grilling guests and pushing back on them, to be honest. Like I said, we're not claiming to be good journalists. Like we can ask a question, but when it comes to like a follow-up question, I'll be honest, we're not the most, like, I've never claimed to be super educated on this.
Hassan, you haven't even watched the podcast.
I haven't. I haven't had time. I don't know. I don't know
Okay,
what kind of
so I'm
questions you
just
guys
letting you know
ask, but I assume.
Wait, listen. The first few minutes is us sitting there like, yo, we are not qualified to do this. This is fucking insane. We acknowledge the fact that, yeah, you're right. We're not the best journalists. We're not the most fit to do this. But the fact that we had an opportunity to interview a world leader, two guys like us, we're gonna jump on that just as I know you would. So
yeah, but the difference is the difference is like if there was a situation where I felt like I was ill-equipped for the task, I would just not do it. You know what I mean?
I didn't say we're ill-equipped, but I said there's people probably more fit.
Well, I mean, if you're I mean, this is a unique opportunity. You have an unprecedented opportunity.
The Full Send podcast is, I'll be honest. No, let's be honest. The Full Send podcast is never going to be the fucking best line of questioning. Like, I'll be honest. That's the honest truth. Let's be fucking real here. That's exactly, and that's why they choose us, and that's why the show is what it is, because we're kind of dumb and we're not the best fucking. We're not. Let me
ask you guys this: Is there a person?
The podcast is what it is.
Is there a person that you guys wouldn't interview? Because like we're also like now stuck on whether you guys should be interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu or not. I think if someone is
in today's age, like right now, I think that's a fair question to ask. Right now,
like, would you? What did you say?
Like, I think about right now.
You gotta speak to people that are alive because
you can't speak
historically. Yeah,
we're saying right now because that's pretty much where we're at. Like, if we could interview anyone right now, like who would we say no to? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
I can't think of someone.
Okay, so like even out of like because the reason why I have to go back to historical figures that have conducted genocides is because like Benjamin Netanyahu is doing one right now, and he's not even the singular force of evil here.
But you're talking about hypotheticals, bro. That's where you lose me because you're talking.
Well, I mean, the reason why is trying. Well, I'm using this as an analogy.
Like Tucker Carlson had Putin on. Other journalists have.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson had Vladimir Putin on, and when Tucker Carlson had Vladimir Putin on, he did that in a capacity to do propaganda for Vladimir Putin. For sure. He didn't push back at all. He was there. He was in Russia, and he did it specifically so he could do.
You really can't. You really can't in that situation.
I know, but that's precisely why, like, sometimes it's better not to take that opportunity. You know what I mean? That's my position.
Like for the Tucker,
even then, Tucker Carlson. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Tucker Carlson is still more equipped to at least have like follow-up questions. Like, think about the Ted Cruz interview that he had. Like, he obviously is.
Yeah, of course. Tucker's the man, in my opinion. But when I watched that Putin interview, like I thought Putin was like dodging questions and he like didn't answer anything. So that's what goes back to my point of like platforming someone. And I think just because we have someone on, it doesn't always mean a positive for the guest. And I mean, if you go read this comment section, like, I don't think this is necessarily a positive thing for Netanyahu.
Yeah, but it's not a positive thing for you guys either, because most of your audience is probably already anti-Israel and anti-Netanyahu. So now they're yelling at you guys.
That's
so
fine,
now
I can sleep at night knowing like our intention with this, and you know, we're not fucking pro-Israel. I'm not pro-Israel. I don't know enough about this conflict, to be honest. I only see what I read online, and I hear his point of view, then I hear your point of view. I really have no idea what's going on. I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, but I think you got to do that before you do an interview. Look, my point is this.
Okay, wait, but
what you guys did is from my estimation, okay, what you guys did is no different than like what CNN does, okay? You just basically presented someone who is a war criminal, someone who is doing a genocide in a somewhat neutral light. And you can't be neutral when you have someone like Benjamin Netanyahu directly in an opportunity to talk to him. But that's what happened. So there is moral culpability here for you guys individually.
Well, I think this is the way we roll. The way we roll with this is it's going to give us the opportunity to get the biggest people in the world, and I think you'll know by the Full Send podcast when you watch it. It's like, hey, we're going to watch some. These guys are going to get big guests. We might not necessarily get these guys grilling these people, and that's just what you're going to come to expect.
I know, but if you
with the
don't
Full
grill
Send
them,
podcast,
then
right?
all you're doing is like, you know, just like I said,
We're having them on. And people
where
are
you're
watching
what you're
and
doing in that
forming their own
situation is
opinions. And people-
basically
Hassan,
just
people are not-
propaganda. No,
Hassan, wait, Tyler, you're missing the biggest point here, Hassan. We're looking to have someone from the opposite side and give them the exact same opportunity.
okay, well, you would have to have. I mean, there is no opposite side
So-
because like there's one side that's being genocided and the other side that's doing the genocide. So in this
Okay, so someone
situation,
who has opposite
like it would
views
be
or
like
is on the other
interviewing the
side.
leadership of Hamas. You know what I mean? And that's illegal under. I mean, I don't think you would be able to conduct that
We would
on your own.
100% do that if we were safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
If the Iranian supreme leader called me right now and we knew we were safe, we would obviously do
yes.
Okay.
And
The Iranian
going to
supreme
the
leader
interview,
is
Hassan,
not.
which I think it's funny. I think it's funny that you haven't watched yet because you're going kind of ham on us and you haven't.
Well, I
watched it.
haven't
So
had. I
understand.
haven't had the opportunity to watch it. I was going to
No, I
get to
understand.
it,
You're busy.
but
But what I was going to say is that we did talk about Hamas. We did talk about a lot of these things.
I know, but just simply talking about it without having the proper knowledge and the proper equipment to be able to push back when he's lying only turns it into an opportunity for him to like. Why do you think Benjamin Netanyahu did this? He did this because
No, we agree
No,
with you.
no, we agree with you. We're not. We know that.
Bro, that's the
he
reason
used
anyone
you
does a
guys, is what I'm
podcast.
saying. He
I don't
used
know
you
if that was
guys
necess-
and your lack
I don't
of
know if that's
knowledge on this
necessarily-
issue.
I don't know if that was necessarily successful though.
Yeah, that with Kyle, I agree.
I mean,
I
it
think
would be.
everyone's seeing what Trump did, and Hassan after the whole election, the whole story was how podcasts won the election, blah blah blah. That was every story. Like I even did a bunch of interviews on it too, and I think obviously the Israeli team sees that and they're like, oh, we need to do podcasts. But in my opinion, not everyone is a Trump and that good of a speaker that can go on and kind of adapt to any environment. And I think that Netanyahu came on and I think you see the response. And I think that podcasting doesn't work for anyone. We saw what happened with Kamala too. Like she was a fucking disaster on pods. So
Okay.
I think just because we platform someone, it doesn't necessarily like mean that we're trying to help them. Or I think viewers are
Yeah.
a lot smarter than they think they are.
Okay, Benjamin Netanyahu is a multiple decade politician and has been the leader of Israel in perpetuity. He is a lot better at propaganda than you think he is. Okay, first of all, let's just get that out of the way. The idea that you think that he is not capable of like weaving through a couple softballs that you thought were hard-hitting questions that he has probably addressed a million times over is silly. Let me make no mistake.
Oh no, yeah, I agree with you on that.
So my question to you is, why do you think he wanted to come on the Nelk Boys podcast? He saw the podcast.
Of course he wanted
Hassan,
to.
we're not stupid, bro.
Of course he wanted to come on to try to win over the young audience. We're not disagreeing on that.
Okay.
I'm saying I don't necessarily know if that's successful, and I think just because you come on the Full Send podcast and sit beside Nelk Boys and take some softball questions, if you say that, it doesn't necessarily equate to a positive outcome for the guest. I don't think platforming people.
Like the
don't
question
think
is
that's always
this,
a
right?
positive
The question is the same. Like Adolf Hitler comes on the podcast.
I mean, you could just go read the comments. Like
Adolf Hitler comes
it-
on the podcast.
it
You guys are
doesn't
having a
look like a
conversation
positive
with
thing.
him, and he starts, and you're like, why are you sending Jews to the
we can't
concentration
speak to
camps?
Hitler. I think we should
Yeah,
speak.
I-
I think we
I
should
think
speak
that's
to
a
some.
fact.
I think
No,
we
no.
should
The
speak
reason
to
why
people
we're
that are
using
alive.
this analog is because I think that
I don't
there's
think
a
that's a fair comparison.
the reason why. Well, I don't think it's an unfair comparison at all. I think it's a perfectly
I
apt
think it is. He's
comparison.
dead. It's not realistic.
But we can talk about because that's an analogy. So I'm
Speak to
using
anyone
that.
alive.
I'm
Speak to
using
anyone
that as an
alive.
analogy because Adolf Hitler is a figure that you and I both agree is a truly evil, monstrous
So I think
figure.
why don't you just name one person alive for the analogy?
But I'm using this as an analogy because you already have established
No,
that
I don't
Adolf
think
Hitler
it's
is
a fair
like doing
analogy,
something
though.
akin to what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. That's
I don't
why I'm
think it's a
using
fair
this as an
analogy,
analogy.
though.
There's no modern contemporary that I can use at this moment that you would have the same that would have a similar impact for you. That's why I'm using it as an
Yeah, but-
analog.
But you're talking about completely hypotheticals.
Yeah, of course, that's what an analogy is. I'm comparing
I understand
as
that, but
long
you're
as the
saying it's
crimes
like-
are comparable, which is genocide on both ends, as long as the crimes are comparable, then you know, and you understand that the crimes are comparable. If you think that there's something wrong with the analogy, you can tackle why I'm using it as an analogy, not just saying, oh, you can't use an analogy.
I wasn't allowed. I can't speak to it. I wasn't allowed. But if you can make the analogy of anyone
but you
alive.
know the Holocaust happened, right? Like, obviously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so.
Okay, so since you understand that the Holocaust happened, what's the workaround? I'm directly beaming it to the Twitch servers, okay, instead of using a middleman. The middleman that I use is IRL Toolkit. They've been getting DDoSed non-fucking stop for the past couple of days. I thought they've been getting DDoSed for the past couple of days. I thought that they could have fixed it. They could have, troubleshooted the problem. But instead of, they weren't able to, clearly. Like, their servers are still getting fucking fried. Okay? Yeah, the staff itself has recognized that they're getting DDoSed. So the only way to get around it is just to not use the service at all. That's it. It wasn't the ISP. It's not the computer. As you can see, there is no issues now. That's because I did a full break. I cut the feed. I swapped out of the IRL Toolkit, and I am beaming my stream directly to Twitch. So I'm using Twitch servers. So if there's any sort of fucking additional problems, that would be directly related to Twitch's own servers, which are sometimes also fried. It seems, here's a possible workaround from ChatGPT. Thanks, chatter. I already did that possible workaround. That possible workaround is basically shutting off the stream and restarting it, which is precisely what I did. Okay? Why are you giving me ChatGPT? Oh my God. Oh my God. First day back, I was so fucking chill. I was so chill. And I think we're done. We're done. We're done being chill. I can't be chill any longer. We have literally we have dummies asking grok. What is the purpose of a middleman service? Is it for security? Yes, it's for both security and also, ironically enough, under normal circumstances, when their servers are not fucking fried, it's supposed to be used for interrupted streaming. Okay? Because Twitch servers also sometimes have issues. It is a way for me to basically swap easily from my regular stream that I'm broadcasting from my computer to my bag if I want to. Do you understand? Why am I explaining all of the fucking nitty gritty in the background of the streaming side? It's just no one knows anything and no one cares. And people are going to make up their own minds and make idiotic suggestions regardless and be like, I don't get it. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You know, and it's going to piss me the fuck off anyway. I don't usually Sam, but I'm very frustrated. You didn't challenge him on calling Zoran an anti-Semite, and I probably need to log off before you ban me. Here, I'll give you a day off anyway, because I don't even fucking know. I didn't even watch the interview, dumbass. Chatters will literally be like, dude, talk to the Nelk boys right now without even watching the fucking interview. And then they'll get mad and they'll be like, why did you talk to the fucking Nelk boys without watching the interview at the same fucking time? Is it an F again? Can you ban me too? No. Anyway, we're back. Okay. So, how was your little small vacation? Really good, because I probably would have killed myself if these issues that just happened took place if I hadn't taken 3 days off. I'll be real with you. I probably would have gotten permanently banned off the face of this earth if I had just continued streaming throughout the weekend, and then I had this fucking issue. I would have perma-effed. Okay? Anyway, we're going to talk about the Trump-Epstein situation. Because when I was about to go on my 3-day break, the Wall Street Journal released new information that they had found that detailed Jeffrey Epstein's connection to Donald Trump in a more meaningful fashion. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. Donald Trump since then he wrote like this bawdy, salacious letter to Jeffrey Epstein celebrating his 50th birthday. It was very weird, but also on top of the weirdness of the Trump letter, he turned around and basically denied the entire thing and said he's suing Wall Street Journal, which is very stupid. Let's take a look.
Days after the Justice Department requested federal courts to release more information related to Jeffrey Epstein, this morning some Republicans say it's not enough.
I think it's a start. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of anything, all of it. This town doesn't give up its secrets very easy.
The Justice Department asked to make public grand jury testimony related to the convicted sex offender. Writing in a motion, transparency to the American public is of the utmost importance to this administration. But releasing those transcripts will likely be a lengthy process that could require hearings with a judge to determine the impact on victims. Epstein's former lawyer says the information requested from the grand jury is likely only a portion of what's within the full files.
Grand jury information is narrowly tailored by prosecutors only to provide sufficient evidence to result in an indictment.
The president had hoped the move would get his supporters to turn the page, but this weekend acknowledging nothing will be good enough for the troublemakers, adding, even if the court gave its full and unwavering approval, it will always be more.
Yeah, Wall Street Journal has been booted from the White House press pool. Scoop, a Wall Street Journal reporter was slated to be a part of the travel pool this weekend when Trump travels to Scotland. After the paper's Epstein story last week, the White House booted them from the pool. This is like, I mean, this is the peak of like access journalism. They're just basically whipping them. They're just whipping the media into submission. But it's being done in like the stupidest way possible. It's being done for the dumbest story. Because we already knew that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were connected to one another. We already knew that. This isn't even a new revelation. So the idea that you know, he's reacting this way to information that we kind of knew about, but just like not the additional details, makes the story even larger than before. It's very fucking dumb. Hold on. I'm back live and going direct to Twitch service after our toolkit was taking a beating. No more service interruptions. Okay. No, I have not gotten to the Jube video yet. There's so much happening that I haven't even been able to get to the Jube video, which I will eventually. Okay, just calm down. I got Ryan Grimm texting me about the Nelk boys being like, who the fuck are these guys? Concerned that people are gagged Trump is a liar after a million pics of him with Epstein and all the things he said. No, that's what's so fucking crazy about this story is that it's such a stupid thing to get mad about because everybody knows you were pictured with Jeffrey Epstein like 45 times, dude. What do you mean? This is from the time period where you were still very much openly friendly with Jeffrey Epstein. So, like, there is the pre-2002 Jeffrey Epstein relationship and then the post-2002 Jeffrey Epstein relationship. And it's so fucking strange to me that Donald Trump, who has been pictured with this guy who literally said nice things about him in the media when talking about how he loves young girls just like I do, all this stuff, is now fucking mad that there was more revelations from detailing the extent of their relationship, giving us a fuller view. National correspondent for the New York Times, Mike Baker, detailed basically what we do know so far about the Jeffrey Epstein relationship. And I'm obviously going to get into it, but it's like incredibly dumb that he's trying to sue the Wall Street Journal and claiming that claiming that he didn't actually send this message to Jeffrey Epstein for his birthday is so stupid because in the process of this coming out, we found out that Trump is, as a matter of fact, a doodler. Because he was like, I've never written pictures. Like that was his first response to it. His first response to it was, I've never wrote a picture. It was a fucking lie. It turns out he's a massive doodler. I didn't know this. And I consider myself to be somewhat of a Trump stan turned hater, you know? Okay. He actually drew quite a bit. At first I thought I thought that it wasn't just a pure dictation and that like he probably got someone to draw a naked woman and then maybe he signed the pubes of the naked woman, which is the extent of the Wall Street Journal discovery. But like now I realize he doodles so much. He definitely fucking doodled. He definitely doodled that picture. Like, look at him. It makes no sense. So it's just like every time he just acts like there is no relationship there, it comes out that there is more of a relationship there than we thought.
Democrats joining the calls for transparency.
So, to me, as a former prosecutor, there are times when you release things for the good of the country. This is one of those times.
The president instructed the Justice Department to seek the release of the grand jury testimony just hours after a report from the Wall Street Journal, alleging that he sent Epstein a letter to celebrate his 50th birthday in 2003. Trump now filing a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the paper, including owner Rupert Murdoch, saying the journal falsely claimed that he authored, drew, and signed a letter to Epstein containing salacious language and that no authentic letter or drawing exists. Dow Jones telling ABC News, "We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit." ABC News has not confirmed the existence of the letter.
So over on Capitol Hill, there is a bipartisan push for a vote that would call on the DOJ to release the full files. But that vote would largely be symbolic. Congress has no legal authority to force the administration to release anything, but it would get Republicans on the record about where they stand on this issue. And just the fact they're even talking about this vote really underscores just how much pressure the administration is under, guys.
That's true. And people want to know about this.
A new CBS News poll shows falling support for President Trump. He now has a 42% approval rating. That is a double-digit drop since February. He has lost support on issues like immigration and the economy. His approval with Republicans still remains very high, even as he's dealing with the backlash over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case from both sides of the aisle. Weijia Jiang is at the White House. Weijia, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Nate. Good morning to everybody. At President Trump's direction, Attorney General Pam Bondi has asked a federal court to unseal grand jury documents related to that Jeffrey Epstein case. That move followed Trump becoming furious over a Wall Street Journal report that led him to suing the publication.
The article at the center of President Trump's new lawsuit is about a birthday letter he allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein in the early 2000s that included a drawing he reportedly drew of a naked woman. Trump, who denies the report, is suing the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. A great majority of Americans, 89%, believe the Justice Department should release all information regarding the Epstein case, according to our new CBS News poll. Democrats argue Trump's call to unseal grand jury documents does not go far enough.
Things should be released. We should know what happened here. And it is a claim that this president has made time and time again.
I'm glad that the Democrats are not spiking this. My expectation for the Democrats, as always, is to somehow find a way to mess this up. And surprisingly enough, they have at least establishment Democrat voices that are continuing to push for this. And so that's good.
And the American people have the right to know what happened.
Just over 1/3 of Americans say the Epstein case matters a lot when evaluating President Trump's presidency, and only 11% of Republicans.
This is distracting from the focus on the things that the American people voted for in 2024.
A top issue.
Yeah, in an effort for this to not muddy the discourse surrounding Donald Trump, my man has tried his very best to move on from this and basically pump as many stories as possible into the media. Part of that is culture war issues surrounding teams and what they should be named, and hyper focusing on that. I think there was the Indians back and forth going on, Coca-Cola, cane sugar, shit like that. Just actively trying to move the conversation away. Auto pen, Biden's auto pen, and now I guess he's released MLK assassination files. He's just trying to flood the zone. They're trying to flood the zone with as much with as much information as possible. Another thing that he's doing now is hitting the. Another thing that they're doing now is also talking about Obama's involvement or whatever, trying to claim that Barack Obama was, thwarting democracy and the democratic process by trying to, trying to stop Trump from being president or some shit.
Remains the economy. 70% of people say the administration is not doing enough to lower prices. 61% believe they are putting too much focus on tariffs. And 60%.
He said you're trans if you care about this. Wait, what? No. What? I saw one of the Nazi accounts, that Surf's account, That's a Nazi account, not Surfs TV, not our boys, but the other one. That's like a prominent neo-Nazi on Twitter, because that's just a thing that happens now. Trying to be like, you're actually a trans and soy if you care about the Epstein files. Yeah, the Royal Surfs. Yeah, prominent neo-Nazis on Twitter have been posting about like how if you care about the Epstein, if you want to release the Epstein client list, like that means you're gay. That means you're woke, gay, and trans, which they think is going to be. They think this is going to be a good enough way to stop people. What? Does no one have the fucking link I'm looking for? Yeah. Oh, here it is. Zaid Jelani posted about it. So anytime the admin does anything wrong, they're just going to jangle some immigrants or trans people in front of their base. Trump and his admin promised something. They went back on their promise. We want the list. Hey, guys. No. Look no further. It turns out it's trans to care about the Epstein list. And that's a bad thing as well. You're woke, gay, and trans. Of course, back then, you weren't woke, gay, and trans. Epstein definitely had a client list and didn't commit suicide. 7/6/25. Motherfucker, what changed? 2 weeks? 2 weeks, dude? So all it was for Trump to just turn around and flip the switch? That's what this is? That's what's going on? Maybe this is just him saying he's woke, trans, and gay. 2 weeks ago, he was woke, trans, and gay. Now he's straight. Donald Trump is at a 54-point swing in the 18 to 29 demographic, by the way. Trump's approval trends among ages 18 to 29. Early February, his approval rating was 55%, plus 10. Now in July, his approval rating is 44, minus 44. Do you understand? His disapproval rating shot up from 45% to 72%. It is a net 54-point negative swing. Can't wait for every fucking dumb fuck slop tuber piece of shit that has been suckling on the teat of this administration to start quickly turning around. I'm sure that they'll start with the Epstein stuff as a reason for it, and they'll move on. Just wait. I told you all this shit was going to happen, and it's happening now. I told you. Did I not fucking tell you that eventually when Trump starts doing his fuck shit, that people would inevitably realize, like, maybe this is not the solution to all of their incoming problems, to all of the regular material issues that they are experiencing? No, you didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Motherfucker, this is literally what I kept repeating over and over again, that the pendulum would swing back as soon as people realize, like, oh, the trans stuff didn't actually fix my fucking paycheck. The immigration stuff didn't actually fix my paycheck at all. And that maybe these guys are not actually packing up these like pedophile decapitators or whatever, and they're simply just going to the fucking farms. They're simply just going to the farms and doing dragnets. How many times did I fucking say that? Throughout the goddamn election cycle, too. I told you over and over again that the Democrats need to visualize what mass deportations look like, because Americans at that point, did not understand what 20 million migrants getting deported looked like. This doesn't seem to be damaging approval among Republican Party members, and they're starting to come around to the propaganda points, just not as much as usual. I saw a poll that said 50% of GOP supporters believe the admin has been adequate on Epstein. This is still really low for Trump. I know this is not like the death blow. This is not the death blow, but it's a actual major chip in his armor. Okay. The point is, none of the fucking policies that he thinks or that he claimed were going to save America are actually going to do that. And people are going to slowly come to that recognition. Not everyone will. And plenty of people will obviously still believe, no, you don't understand. We have to fucking deport every single Mexican. Okay. And then things will get better. There is no real death blow. Okay. There isn't, because Trump is a cult-like figure. You cannot tackle a cult like this. You just have to hopefully keep hitting slowly but surely and assume that enough people have decoupled themselves from the administration and its movements, because they will slowly but surely, at least people who are cognizant enough, will slowly but surely recognize that Donald Trump was basically just lying about all of these criminal migrants. This is precisely the reason why I kept repeating the importance of the Democrats to create adequate counter messaging on the issue of immigration early on. Okay? on every single quote unquote problem that he created, he had no real solutions for because they weren't real problems. That's how it works, is death by 1,000 cuts. It's little by little. Every other day, there is a new person that voted for Donald Trump last time around that goes, yeah, I don't know if this is actually real. I don't know if this was a good thing that I did. Going back on their votes. Okay? That's how it's done. And I said this over and over again. And I also said this about Israel too. And look where we're at with Israel. Uncompromising in the face of clear injustice was the appropriate thing to do. Every call ends one way. It's never from the outside. I mean, it doesn't matter. Despite realizing that voting for Trump did not solve the problems they were going through by deporting and attacking queer people's rights, it doesn't change the fact that these people are not and can't be allies against Republicans and overall establishment. These people are still racist, homophobic, transphobic, and so on. No, it doesn't matter, because as long as they're not fucking voting for Donald Trump, and as long as you have real leaders on the opposing side, which we unfortunately currently do not, then you can move America in the right direction. Because it's not just about cutting Trump from his audience, okay? Cutting Trump from his base of support. There also has to be a counterbalance that is leading America in the right direction. And we currently do not have that counterbalance. This is why I talk about the importance of having a real competent party that fights back against the Republican madness, okay? Without that, we just go back to business as usual. Without that, we go back to, you know, another marginally better Democrat that doesn't fix any of the issues, and then that creates an opportunity for even a worse Trump-style figure to come in and use populism to his advantage and to consistently diminish material necessities, material interests that Americans have. That's how we got the Trump 1. That's how we got the Trump 2. That's it. People make up crap about you saying don't vote for Kamala. Meanwhile, you're literally saying people who don't vote for Trump can be allies, literally carrying what is left of non-Republicans. No, I don't. I want real change. I don't care who brings it, okay? I want real change in the positive direction. Why is it so hard for people to understand that a vote is an agreement? If you vote for the progressive candidate and you're being progressive, even if you're not always the most progressive in your personal life. I'm not saying these guys who are cutting off their ties with Donald Trump are going to fucking magically turn around and be like pro-trans advocates overnight, okay? That's not going to happen. It's going to take quite a long time for a lot of people to understand that getting mad at trans people is simply a distraction. That's it. That's all it is. It is a very effective tool that the right uses all the goddamn time. And unfortunately, when there's nothing on the counter messaging side that says, hey, this is a simple distraction. Trans people are just like your neighbors. They're just like you. Okay. They have the same exact needs. Like, they're not magical, mystical beings. Okay. They still have to fucking pay rent. They still have to go work at McDonald's. They still hate their boss. Okay. When grocery prices go up, they also suffer just like you do. And any conversation that chooses to separate them from you is stupid. And it's being used as a simple distraction to make you hyper-focus on these people, to make you feel like they're weird, they're different, they're degenerate, they're destroying American civilization. Meanwhile, the people that are telling you that they're destroying American society is the people most responsible for destroying American society. And they don't want you to pay attention to that. How many times have you heard a Democrat say this? There are some examples that I can point to, but how many times has a Democrat come out and been like, guys, this is fucking ridiculous. What the fuck is a trans swimmer in a high school swim meet done to you? Why do you fucking care about that? There are very few Democrats who just, who will actively defend marginalized populations and will say, actively defend marginalized populations, and will say, like, the only reason why you care about this kind of stuff is because these guys don't want to actually enact any sort of positive change. They recognize that you're angry. They recognize that you're angry because of the affordability crisis, as Trump, you know, kept repeating over and over again. Okay. But the reason why they're hyper-focusing on trans people or undocumented migrants is because they want to distract your attention away from the real issues that persist in your life. They do not care. They do not want to solve any of the problems. They do not want to solve the affordability crisis. So they just keep shifting your attention and your priorities away to groups that are not responsible for the affordability crisis at all. No, they are truly bigoted. Bigotry is not an intractable position. It's not an unchangeable, unyielding position, okay? Everyone is bigoted one way or another. It's fucking entirely stupid to be like, no, they're just bigoted. Who gives a shit? So is your dad. So are you, I'm assuming, in certain instances. You have to be more understanding of people, okay? It's learned behavior. What are we talking about? I guess I should just like shutter this operation, you know? What do you mean? Why am I doing what I'm doing? If, you know, it's impossible to make people change their minds on issues.
Pose new tariffs on imported goods. On Face the Nation, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick insisted the public would come around.
You know, the president figured out the right answer and sent letters to these countries, said this is going to fix the trade deficit. This will go a long way to fixing the trade deficit. And that's gotten these countries to the table.
President Trump has sent dozens of letters to U.S. trading partners out.
Let me spell it out for you. It is mental complacency and ignorance. Yes, a lot of people have it, but aren't negative and self-righteous about it. Okay, so?
Lighting tariffs they will have to start paying on August 1st, now less than 2 weeks away. As for that Wall Street Journal fight, the publisher says they have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of their reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit. Gail?
We thank you.
Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend speaking out tonight. Stacey Williams, a former Sports Illustrated model who dated Epstein in the early 90s, has spent time with both Epstein and Donald Trump together in one disturbing alleged incident.
Why would Wall Street Journal publish that? What do you mean? I mean, it's newsworthy at a time when people are calling into question Trump's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and how involved he actually was with Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's perfectly appropriate to uncover new information about that level of involvement, which is precisely what's going on here. It's newsworthy because people want answers. And Trump's response to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, to the Jeffrey Epstein client list and his and standing in opposition of like more information coming out. Yeah, but it's owned by Bezos. No, Wall Street Journal is not owned by Jeffrey Bezos. It's owned by Rupert Murdoch. What you're thinking of is the Washington Post. Okay.
Williams went public with last year before the presidential election. Williams says Trump groped her in front of Epstein at Trump Tower in 1993. Here's what she told our Sunland Serfati when she first broke her silence.
The second he was in front of me, he pulled me into him, and his hands were just on me and didn't come off. Then the hands started moving, and they were on the side of my breasts, on my hips, back down to my butt, back up, sort of. Then they were just on me the whole time, and I froze.
Williams also claimed that Epstein and Trump looked at each other and smiled during the alleged incident, which Williams says she now believes was coordinated and, quote, some kind of weird, twisted game. Trump denied Williams's allegations through his campaign at the time, which said in part, quote, it's obvious this fake story was contrived by Kamala Harris's campaign. And Stacey Williams is out front now to speak out for the first time since the uproar over Trump's handling of the Epstein case. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As you know, Epstein is dominating the news once again, and his relationship with Trump is under scrutiny. While you were dating Epstein, can you tell us how close?
I'm not American, so I'm asking this in good faith. You were talking about this sort of imminent collapse of American economy due to the first round of tariffs that would be felt regardless of whether Trump calls off the tariffs. Have you Americans seen a genuine increase in prices? Only limited increase in prices have been seen so far, partially because some of the mediators just ate the cost. And also on top of that, because he called off the tariffs, a lot of people just kept doing the trade regardless. But it has already started. It has already started regardless of the fact that Donald Trump actually scaled back on the tariffs in spectacular fashion, only to restart it over and over again. But because of the inconsistency, it seems that a lot of people are still trading. And okay, so here's what happened. Okay, here's what happened. Knowing that these tariffs were coming in, there was a major amount of imports. They literally came in, and ahead of the tariffs, they wanted to get ahead of. They wanted to have as much of a timeline for because of the inconsistency. They wanted to stockpile to the best of their ability ahead of time in an effort to withstand the tariffs. That actually contributed to economic growth, or at least it limited the amount of GDP decline in this last quarter because people were so scared. People were so worried that the tariffs were going to destroy the prices. We're going to skyrocket the prices. Okay, and they already have on certain products. For the record, here are Walmart price changes between May and July 2025. 12-piece pots and pans went from $99 to $149, a 51% increase. Mode's Trio 3-in-1 travel system went from $200 to $300, a 50% increase. So there is still, like, coffee went up 17%. Donut Shop coffee went up 17%. A lot of the coffee went up. Gallon of milk went up as well. But having said that, the reason why in the first, the reason why there wasn't as much as a noticeable blip is because they stockpiled like fucking crazy ahead of time, knowing that, or banking on the hope that Trump would inevitably back away from the tariffs. So by the time they ran out of supply, instead of hitting a major price shock and hiking prices up and adjusting it to the tariffs, they would be able to basically overcome this. Regarding that chatter to help you, econ friend went off on me about this. He said a massive imports happen ahead of tariffs, enough for 3 to 6 months for a lot of industries. Then he folded, but not on everything. What we're seeing now is things like coffee, meat, and especially appliances going up. It's the start. If August 1st happens, it will accelerate as no one has supply banked now. Yeah. So companies stockpiled ahead of time with the hopes that they could withstand the major tariffs price hike that was imminent. But because he has just like went back and forth, he's only extended the timeline of tariffs. He's extended the timeline of tariffs and the likelihood of a trade hit. So now they don't have enough stockpiles. So their stockpiles are running out, and he's not backing away completely from the tariffs regime.
These two men were.
They were best friends. I dated Jeffrey for a period of more or less, I think about 4 or 5 months. And the only friend that he would mention every time we saw each other or had a phone conversation was Donald. And he would share a lot of anecdotes. I have plenty of anecdotes. And yeah, they were very close, and they were up to no good.
And how did Epstein talk about Trump? Sort of what was the quality of those anecdotes and how he described him?
Well, there was a time when he mentioned that he had to check in on him because he was unwell and very upset about something that had happened. I remember because he was late to pick me up, and he was explaining why he was late. They were just, it was such a long time ago, but it was just that was his bro, that was his wingman. It was clearly, I'd hear about Ghislaine and I'd hear about Jeffrey. And I met Ghislaine in his house. She would come wafting in and out, the home in New York. So he was clearly just someone that he talked about all the time. And again, I met Jeffrey the second time, and we started dating based on...
It's Ghislaine, but she's saying Ghislaine, which is probably still better than the way I say it, which is Ghislaine. So I can't fault her too hard.
The reintroduction that happened at the Plaza Hotel at a Christmas party in 1992 that Donald Trump threw. And they were very, very close.
So let's talk about this incident, alleged incident in 1993, where you say that Trump groped you in front of Epstein. I do want to note that CNN has spoken to 3 friends of yours who confirmed that you told them about this alleged incident over past decades. Can you tell me more about what happened that day, and particularly how Trump and Epstein interacted?
Yeah, before I get into the details of what happened, which, obviously I told you guys and I've shared with multiple outlets, the specifics of the assault that happened, I want to point out that I was polygraphed before I did all this by one of the most renowned examiners in the world. Michael Wolff has hundreds of hours of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein where Jeffrey confirmed to Michael what the two of them did to me long before I came out and told you all of this. So those are two critical data points that you need to have.
Wait, I've been saying Ghislaine around my parents this whole time because the way you're pronouncing it is, you're telling me is wrong? Yes. Ghislaine
And now I'll
is
walk you
wrong.
through what
It's
happened.
Ghislaine.
I was dating Jeffrey. He was always talking about Donald. It was his bestie and everything. And he was joking about how Donald thought I was hot and Donald thinks I'm this or whatever, you know, wants to talk to you. And he was telling me this as we were taking a walk down Fifth Avenue one day. And he said, let's stop in and see him at his offices. So we went up to his office in Trump Tower. And within a couple of minutes, Donald was outside of his door. And his hands were all over me. They were on my breasts, they were on my butt, they were on, you know, my hips, up and down, while the two of them just kept having a normal conversation. I don't remember exactly what was in the conversation. Again, this was, you know, we're talking 90, this is 93 now. It was something about, it was irrelevant. It was like, oh, Stacey's career's on fire. She just did Sports Illustrated again, you know, blah, 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 blah. And they were back and forth, smiling and grinning and carrying on a conversation while Donald ran his hands all over me. And, you know, when that happens in broad daylight in someone's office and an assistant's walking back and forth, you're in shock. If it happens in a dark alleyway, right, you defend yourself. But when it's hidden in its brazenness like that, which is Donald Trump's forte, you know, you go into shock. So I froze, and it was over and very quickly. It was a few minutes. And then we got back in the elevator, and Jeffrey's energy had changed. He was like seething. He was enraged. He wouldn't make eye contact with me. And then we got out on the street on Fifth Avenue, and he looked at me and he just started yelling at me, saying, why did you let him do that? And he was so enraged. And then I remember thinking, like, why did I? I felt like I was coming back into my body at that moment, and I was confused. So that's the story of the assault.
And I do just want to note, Stacey, that Trump has denied these allegations.
Trump is like a serial rapist, sexual harasser, sexual assaulter, it seems, which is not surprising, to say the least, but goddamn.
Which you are well aware of, and I know at times you've referenced videos which we have not confirmed the existence.
And I say this is like someone who is still firmly committed to the Trump, is not even like interested in the sexual gratification aspect of sex in general. Like, I don't think he has sex for the same reasons why you would. I think he's just a rapist. Like, that's the only way that he derives any sort of like it's a power thing. It's a signifier, being around like beautiful women. It's just about like having control and having power over another person.
But I know that you felt that this was coordinated later when you looked back on it. What was it that made you draw that conclusion?
Well, I was sort of known in the industry for being somewhat combative with, you know, photographers who would expose themselves or do inappropriate things, or even guys who would touch or harass on the streets. And Jeffrey was aware of that. And I think he was excited. I think the gist in my mind, given what he knew and the way it played out, was, hey, I'm going to deliver this person to you who's actually not going to let you get away with what you do. And I did, because I froze. Like I said, when it's hidden in its brazenness like that, you freeze. And, you know, he's a master of that. So, I mean, he talked about it, right? He talked about pussy grabbing on the Access Hollywood tape.
And tonight, if you're aware, President Trump has filed this libel lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal over its reporting that there was this note bearing Trump's name as a signature and an outline of a naked woman that was included in a 50th birthday album for Epstein in 2003, a note that also depicted an imaginary conversation between the two men. And part of it reads, quote, Donald saying, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do. Come to think of it, Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me that the last time I saw you. And then finally, Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Trump called that letter fake. He said it was out of character for him because he never wrote a picture or drew a picture in his life. Wrote a picture, I think he said.
No,
it's not his kind of language. Based on your time with both men, does that sound out of character to you?
What, are you kidding me? I know what they were up to together. It happened to me. I was polygraphed. I have the post-assault postcard with a love note. So I have the receipts. Where are Donald Trump's receipts? Where are they? I know what they're up together, and I know what that means. It's very clear. It wasn't baking or fishing.
Stacey Williams, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Trump administration's handling of
Damn, that was loud. Okay, I'm gonna talk to the Nelk boys again now that I fixed my issues. Hold on 1 second. Why, lol? Dude, half of the chat is like, bro, why didn't you fucking continue talking to them? And then the other half is like, oh, I don't want you to do this. It's not 50:05. What do you mean? Who, bro? No one wants this? I mean, I wanna, hold on. Okay. Hello?
Are you good now?
Mr.
You changed your fit. You changed your fit.
DDoS hacker.
No, we have, this is the same problem that's persisting with, what do you call it? With the Phase boys too, and like Kai Cenat. Anyone that uses IRL Toolkit's been getting clobbered. Speed has been having issues too. We all use the same service as like a mediator between OBS and Twitch, and their servers are getting fried, which is why I was unable to continue streaming. So I had to shut off my stream and restart it. But it's fine now. Yeah, I put on a jacket.
You threw on the black jacket.
You gotta look good for the big interviews, all right?
Yeah. No, it's cold in here. All right, so we were talking, for those of you in my chat who are just tuning in, I'm talking to the Nelk boys. They interviewed war criminal with an arrest warrant out by the International Criminal Court, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. This is part two of the conversation that we were having. So I was giving you guys an analogy, a hypothetical.
Hold on, Hassan, 1 second.
Spice it up.
No, hold on. I told Hassan one thing. Hassan, you want absolutely nobody in here, even if they're allowed on Twitch? Real quick before I cut you off.
No, I can't. I can't have someone who is not allowed on Twitch to be on the call. Then I'll get banned.
What about Adam?
Oh, Adam Friedland's fine. Yeah. What? Yeah, of course.
Let's spice it up for part 2.
Okay, we'll bring Adam in now.
That's not spicing it up.
No, it's not. It's not. Adam's not gonna spice it up. Adam is a comedian. He's funny.
Adam is also a good friend of mine.
That's what I mean by spice.
Hassan, go ahead with what you were saying.
Okay. So, I mean, he's not gonna spice it up, but he will turn the conversation into a silly direction. But what I was asking you guys is, the reason why I said Adolf Hitler is because it's a comparable crime, right? We were using that as an analogy. I was using that as an analogy because, like, we both understand that he did a horrible crime, the Holocaust, and that it is comparable to what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. Wait, did I lose you guys? What the fuck? Hello? Oh, God. I think they opened up another chat. Jesus Christ. Okay. Hello?
I've never had... Bro, what's good?
One second.
Turn on your camera. What up, Adam?
Me?
Adam's
No,
camera's
Adam,
on.
you're fine. I can hear you.
Dude, I've been editing.
We're fixing it. We have our guy doing this shit remote.
Okay.
Aaron, is that you?
Adam, what's going on, bro?
Who's in the pink square right now?
It's the Nelk boys.
Me?
It's Steiny and the other Nelk.
It's grade 6.
You know what? Do not be disrespectful up in here.
Aaron, what's goody, bro? Did you watch the episode?
I did. It was amazing.
Hassan, you can't say my name.
It's Kyle, right?
Funny.
You know my name, bro.
It's Kyle.
Kyle Forgard.
Yeah.
Is Steve there?
No, it's just me and Kyle.
What are you guys doing? Hitting happies, doing zaps. Dude, I
No
watched
zap.
so much of your guys' stuff for like 2 weeks.
No,
What's
sir,
going
no
on? Why
zap
do you want me
tonight.
on this thing?
What's going on?
Oh, by the way, Aaron,
Hold
you
up.
bitch ass.
Our guy's just fixing this shit right
No,
now.
I want to tell Aaron something. My guest this week is G Herbo, and you were talking shit to me that rappers would never accept me, and he's by far he's accepted me.
I love G Herbo. It's also G Herbo. The H
What
is
is
silent, bro.
What?
The H is silent. It's G Herbo. But yes, I love
whatever.
him.
Yeah, well, we're very good. We text and stuff.
Can you guys see us?
What
No.
is going on right now?
Adam,
This-
how do you know Hassan? That's a real question. Is how are you and Hassan allies?
I know Hassan from the Bund, from the workers, the People's Workers Party.
Damn,
that
we're
we
actually
both-
getting gifted. We're actually getting subs during this. Shout out Jenny Full Send community.
Okay, so
No,
Adam,
Adam, why can't I see you guys? And why am I on this
Give
right
us,
now? I'm
give us.
But Adam, we have Hassan's here. Me
They
and Kyle here.
interviewed.
We've had 5 different people in here, and now Hassan. Oh, there you go.
Oh, boom!
Whoa,
It
what's
worked.
What up, Adam? Good to meet you, bro.
This guy, Aaron.
Adam's a good
What-
guy.
what
Adam seems like good vibes.
He's a troll, but he's a good dude. I fuck
What
with
is
him.
going on right now? You guys please explain to me.
Hassan will explain.
Yeah, wait, Hassan, why don't you go ahead and debrief Adam on what's going on as you changed your fit before you lagged out?
Yeah. What happened is these guys, the brilliant minds of the Nelk Boys podcast, went and interviewed war criminal Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and now they're getting they did.
What guys in the middle of a war?
Genocide.
Aaron,
Adam, it's a war leader. We have to do it.
you know, 60,000 people. Lowest estimates are dead right now.
We understand. We have empathy with everyone who's been affected by the war in general, but we are going to have a pro-Palestinian on next week. That's what we do here. We do not.
He's charged with as a war criminal by the ICC. It's you could have Slobodan Milosevic on.
We would have a lot of people on.
Would have anyone on.
They said they would have. They said they would have Adolf Hitler on.
No, we did not.
Okay, they said they would have Osama bin Laden on, but not Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
We said
did you press him? Did you you dunked on him or something?
We asked him what was his response to starving children in Gaza. Could he have stopped October 7th? Is he looking to have regime change in Iran? And we told him that Americans don't want to see another regime change war in the Middle East.
We told him
They asked him if he was starving children in Gaza, and he said no. It was Hamas starving children in Gaza. Adam.
Wait. Answer this. Hassan, did they glaze?
I don't know. I haven't seen the excerpts
I
yet.
haven't seen it either. I was editing the G Herbo interview, and it's one of my finest moments, and now you've ruined my day. What are you guys doing? Wait, guys, can I get Aaron? I was hinting
That's
at
just
this
what
when
we
I
do.
met-
That's
I was
just what we
hinting
do.
at this
So,
when- no.
listen. That's just what we do. So I think what we did is we had someone on right now.
But he
a
watched
wanted.
Aaron.
Let me
I know
finish.
this
Let me
boy.
finish. Let me
He watched
finish.
4
I wanna tell
podcasts and
Hassan
did
too.
Adam.
I think
Let
this
me
is
finish.
actually. I think this is actually going to be a great thing. If everyone thinks we have such a big platform, would you guys agree or no, Hassan?
Yeah, you guys have a decently
Otherwise,
sized
people wouldn't
platform.
be pissed. People wouldn't be pissed, right? If we didn't have a big platform. So if we have
No,
such
I
a
think
big
people
platform,
your fans would, depending on how they feel about it, they probably would be.
Right. So right now we just had Netanyahu on. A bunch of people watched it. I think a lot of people saw through what he was saying. Now already on the same day, we've had 3 people on with complete opposite viewpoints: Hassan, Sneeko, Myron,
Nick
Fuentes. So
Okay.
and then-
Those
wait,
don't
let
loop
finish,
me in
let
with
me
those
finish.
guys.
Let me finish. I
Don't
said
fucking
opposite-
don't
yeah,
put
but
me
you
in the
believe
same
it's fun. I
category
said
as these
opposite
guys.
viewpoints. Let me finish. Let me finish. So already we've had 4 people with opposite viewpoints on the very same day, and then the next episode of the Full Sun podcast, we're gonna have someone very, very reputable with the complete opposite viewpoint of Netanyahu. So I personally think, and listen, there's a lot. You guys gotta understand though, Hassan. There's a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people like Hassan though that are educated on this issue, and there's a lot of people like myself who are really not. And I know there's a lot of people watching right now that are the same way as me, that just read shit and don't know what to believe. And if you read stuff and you really don't know what to believe, like I know Hassan, that might be tough for you to understand because you're so educated on the topic. But there is a lot of people that don't know what to believe.
I know, but
So
that's
I
why
think what we're doing is
you're
I think
giving
what
more
we're doing
reason
is
as to why it's
airing out-
bad that you guys interviewed him.
No,
though.
we're not. Because I
No,
think
that's
people
the
are gonna
problem
listen to
because
Netanyahu, they're already listening to you, Hassan.
you
A lot of people in our audience have honestly never heard of you, and I'm sure likewise they've never heard of us, so they dislike us. So we're putting you onto our audience now, and they're hearing your point of view. And then next week on the podcast, they're going to hear someone really reputable with the complete opposite view of Netanyahu. So I personally think right now we're going to bite the bullet, and I think we're going to take a lot of flack. But I think within a week or 2 weeks' time, we're actually going to be educating our entire audience and probably the entire internet on
Yo,
everyone's point of view.
Kyle, you're doing crisis PR right now, and I can tell this is really stressful because everyone's mad at you. But please,
It's not,
you guys
bro.
just do pranks. Do pranks. And people like to see you guys partying. Why you guys keep
We'll still
in
party,
the middle
bro.
of a fucking in the middle? You know people can't leave Gaza.
Adam, we're
You know, it's
Adam,
like-
Adam, we
we
were
75%
we agree
of
with
people have
you.
children. Why are you wading into that? People like you
How-
guys because they like to party. You hit zaps. You do happy dads. You guys are fucking chill. I like to see Steve will do a chug. Just do it. Why are you touching that? Not
Adam,
everything
we
is
gotta, I agree. I agree. You know what?
Adam,
Adam's right. We don't have to
It
do
is
it.
a
Adam.
brutal blood. It is blood.
See,
It is
Adam,
violence.
that's the problem.
Why
That's
are
the
you
problem.
guys?
We're gonna drink. We're gonna hit zaps, and then we're also gonna interview fucking world leaders. When it
But
comes
it's
to
not.
it, we're gonna
It's
do
not
all
just like,
three.
dude. You're not like interviewing the prime minister of Albania. Okay, you're like, this is a guy. This is not.
Hassan,
If you
Hassan,
did, if
Hassan,
you
you're
did that,
being-
no
you're
one
being-
would.
you're
You
being
wouldn't
an
have to.
idiot.
You wouldn't be doing this video or this video call anyway. If you were doing that, nobody would give a shit.
We plan to do the stream. You can check my story. We plan to do this before we.
And Hassan, you're coming in here all hot, but it's like, bro, we told you exactly what was gonna happen. I texted you ahead of time.
I know,
You
but
know we're gonna have someone who's pro-Palestinian on the other side.
Okay, but that
and you're
doesn't
coming in
that
here with
doesn't
all this
change the
animosity, and
dynamic.
it's just
You,
like, dude,
I found
you're
out
trying to
about it.
press
I
us in
found out
front of
about the
your
interview
audience, you're
after
trying to
you had
prove a
already
point, but it's
conducted
like,
it.
You haven't even watched the episode. You're trying
I
to
know,
come
but
in
if
here
you
and
were to
press the
if
fuck
you
out
were
of
to
us.
have asked me
You're
ahead of time, I would have
uneducated
told
just
you
as
not to
much as
do
we
it.
are.
Even if he watches it, he'll still think the
Listen,
same.
No, I know. But
I love you, boys. Listen, boys. This is let's zoom out. This is a problem with today, with our society. Like even the fact that you're talking to Sneeko and Myron from Fresh and Fit, like that's not like these are content creators. These aren't fucking historians.
Yes.
These are people that like. These are the fact that like the experts on it's politics and it's war and it's violence. There are people that study this, right? It's just not everything's content, guys.
But that's
Just
what we're
do
gonna have on the
pranks.
next episode,
You
bro.
had Coke. Jesse would have never allowed this were he here. Jesse,
I don't know enough about the
Adam comes
Nelk
very,
history.
very
I don't know about the Nelk
serious.
history to know
on
what
everything
Adam is
that happens.
saying, but it seems to be impactful.
That's one thing about Adam is he will fucking know everything. That's
Do you think that they just didn't realize? You think that you think it's banality of evil? Guys, there's a book by this lady Hannah Arendt that I want you guys to read. The Banality of Evil. And I want you guys to get back to me on it. Because it's sometimes like it's sometimes I'm doing a podcast. It's just a podcast. But you don't realize that there's like a gravity there. There are powerful people wanting access to your fucking platform that have an agenda. It's just like when I was asking about like Zuckerberg, right? He like his stock plummets when he's like doing the censorship around COVID, and then everyone's like, "You're anti-free speech Democrat," and then he puts a chain against muscles, and then his stock goes back up. But like it's this everyone that says you're an anti-free speech Democrat is like, "No, you're sick because you do bow and arrow." But he's like he's going on podcasts now because it's his stock price. It's an advantage for them, and
They're
it's like,
using you
guys.
guys. They're using you guys to look good.
Hassan, if anybody, Hassan, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Hassan,
Yeah.
anyone goes on a podcast to promote whatever they're doing. We're
Yeah,
aware of
but
that.
they're not. But Benjamin Netanyahu's not promoting a book, dog. He's promoting a genocide.
Bro,
That's
we
the
have
point.
fucking- oh,
This
you're-
is
I
the
agree with
one
you. They don't have
instance.
to-
This is the one instance where it's the worst guess you could have because these
We
guys
agree.
are
We
bad
agree.
people. But what you're talking
We
about is the
100%
worst
agree,
person.
Hassan.
It's the most hated man on the planet.
But Hassan, we agree. But also, if
to
we're not
Aaron's
gonna do it, then
credit, I'm
who's
gonna
not gonna
protect
do
you,
it?
Aaron. I'm gonna hook your ass up. I said BB to that guy Yossi, who's your Mossad handler, and Aaron said, "Who's that?" He didn't know that. It's he's named BB. I'm just that's
even I
protecting.
knew
I
that.
said, "Who's that?" Which is good. I mean, like guys, just it's like unless you know, like it's wading into fucking like it's violence and they're bombs and
No,
rubble.
Adam,
and
you're right.
dead
You're right.
people.
You are
Like,
right. We
you don't have to
definitely
do
realize that.
content about it. You don't have to do like we're gonna fucking collab with him. We're gonna collab with BB and Bonnie Blue. Guys, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's just a way. It's a sign of the world nowadays. It is.
Adam, you would have him on in a
Hope
heartbeat.
you got
I'm gonna
Trump
be
on,
honest.
and
Adam, you would have him on in a
have him
heartbeat. If you have the opportunity, you'd have him on in a heartbeat. So don't try and
BB? I
yeah,
would have
fuck yeah,
only
you
if
would.
Bonnie Blue was there to defend Palestine.
You would
No,
have
guys,
BB on in a heartbeat. Don't even
Yeah,
try and fucking
there's a-
fake the fact.
You know what? Like, I am very like I know a lot about this subject. You know, that even maybe is a step, a shade beyond. it's a little bit like it's very painful for me. Aaron, your grandparents were the Holocaust, right? Okay, please.
Yes.
Our parents' generation, right? We're told that like we have to protect these people, and if we don't protect these people, the Holocaust will happen again. I'm Jewish, by the way, Kyle. I don't know if you could tell. I don't really read as Jewish, but okay. Told that, right? And they were really scared because they knew Holocaust survivors, right? And it really freaked them out. And they were like, we got to protect Israel and stuff like this. But like, it hasn't protected Jewish people. It is.
I
the
agree with
people that
you.
live
That's why,
in
Adam, you haven't
Israel,
watched
it's been a failure of a project. Think about the way Jewish people were treated prior to the Holocaust. For 1600 years, we were losers. Everywhere we went, they said, go away. Everywhere we went, they were killed. It sounds a lot like the Palestinians. Because
Adam,
they
I'm
are
gonna tell
people
you
that
this.
are dispossessed, and everywhere they go, they get killed. And if we
Adam,
can't see
listen.
ourselves in that, it's a shanda.
Adam, I'm gonna tell you something really quick. I don't agree with Netanyahu. I disagree with a lot of things he's doing. I think he's acting. It doesn't matter. I think in certain aspects he's acting the same way as Hamas is. We've talked to him about this.
No, there's
Hamas
no.
wants to
See,
kill
this is what I
children,
mean.
and
You're saying
Netanyahu
he's
wants to
acting
kill
the same.
children. No, but Hassan, you're disregarding the point. And Adam,
There's no comparison between Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas. That's my point. The point is that Hamas.
you tried to compare them earlier.
No,
I
it's
agree
no
with you.
Benjamin
They're acting
Netanyahu is
the same way
infinitely
sometimes.
worse. That's the point. Israel is the Israeli military, and its conduct is a million times worse than anything Hamas could have ever done. It is hundreds, if not thousands, of October 7s that Benjamin Netanyahu has done with superior firepower over the course of the last 2 years. There's a mass starvation happening. Israel is the much more powerful entity in this process, and it's backed by the most powerful country on the planet, the United States of America.
All you have to think of it is in this way: you have the longest occupation in modern history, right? And you have a group of individuals that don't have a right to self-determination. They don't have a country, right? And it's been this way in Gaza since 1967. Okay, in Israel, it's a country. They're in the United Nations. They can vote in their government. These people don't have those rights. And guess what? Right now, there's a fence around them, and they're trapped there. It's not a one-on-one. You don't even have to frame
it's literally
Hamas is better than Israel. You don't even have to frame it that way. That's just the situation with the Palestinians and the Israelis, right? Who are like living on either side of that fence. And it's just like, guys, like I get what you guys got to be fucking stressed as shit right now. But like it's just like it's
Adam, we're good. Trust.
It's not have it like get in trouble for anything else.
You're right, Adam. I understand your point of view. Though. We do a lot of comedy. We do a lot of fun stuff. So you're right. We actually definitely didn't need to do this.
People like to
I
see
totally agree with you.
There is no good
purpose.
There's no good purpose to interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu unless you're like literally there to fucking laser him or directly arrest him and send him to The Hague, which is not going to happen under any circumstance, especially not inside of the White House. So the only thing that happens here, even if it's a failure overall because of how fucking how intensely disliked Benjamin Netanyahu is, the goal on his end was to basically use your platform in the same way that they use CNN. So in a way, you guys turned into CNN.
I don't think that we've already talked about this, but I don't think just because we platform people, they fall for everything the guest says. And this is the perfect example.
I know that, and they clearly aren't, and
just
people
go
are
read the
going to be more mad at you guys as a consequence of like interviewing.
Yeah, they're gonna be mad at us.
Yeah, my point is that if you're asking me about the morality of it, there were journalists that were implicated and also charged with crimes in the Nuremberg trials for literally participating and doing propaganda for the Nazis, right? So in that regard, if you were to ask, will there ever be a Nuremberg-style trial for Israel? I don't know. Probably not. Okay, that doesn't mean that the crimes are not comparable, and that doesn't mean that your moral culpability in this regard is not close to what those guys did. I'm not saying that you guys are going to be tried in the Nuremberg-style trials, but the moral culpability is still there for not, for conducting an interview such as this one.
I can definitely understand your perspective, Hassan, for sure. I just think that that's just what we're gonna do with the Full Send Pod. And I don't know, maybe we got to get a little better at grilling them, or maybe next time when we have a guest like this, we can hit up people like you, Hassan,
don't
and,
have to
and get
entertain
what
that.
you would ask and stuff like that. But
No, Benjamin Netanyahu is never entering the same room as someone like myself. If I were to be in that room, he would not do this podcast with you, or
But wait,
maybe they would
Hassan, why, let me
assassinate
ask you
me.
something. Hassan, why wouldn't you do someone from both sides?
What do you mean?
I mean, we've already debated this.
But no, but if you could do Netanyahu and do somebody else, why wouldn't you do that?
But well,
mean
I
both
don't
sides?
think that
Guys-
there's both sides in the situation. There is the perpetrators, like that's why I'm saying it's like akin to
Okay, so then let's
interviewing
say the
Adolf
leader
Hitler.
of Hamas, and you can do Netanyahu.
There is no both sides in the situation. That's why I'm saying it's like interviewing a concentration camp survivor and then interviewing Hitler. You know what I mean? Is there both sides in the situation? No. Interviewing the leadership of the Jewish partisans in World War II versus interviewing Adolf Hitler or like one of his loyal advocates or whatever is not comparable. There are no both sides in a genocide. That's why it's a genocide. It's such a big crime that it doesn't even justify a genocide in retaliation to said genocide. It's the crime of all crimes.
Guys, I think you're getting in the weeds a little bit, right? It's not about.
No, I mean, but no, I'll be honest.
He's
Hassan
like
Hassan
if
makes
you
a great
guys
point.
are well known not for politics, right? And it's like
No, yeah.
unless you're not gonna research more and get ready. Look, you're rocky. Guys, just like politics sucks, right? I got made fun of for liking it when I was a kid. It should go back to fucking being like for losers, right? Everyone's into fucking politics now. It sucks. It's just like you don't have to purport to like that to know about it, and just like leave it to fucking like the fucking Wolf Blitzer. You know, it's
Yeah,
just
see,
it's
Adam,
not
that's
everything is content on it.
Whatever fucking happened with Wolf Blitzer.
Me too.
It's
No,
he did.
No, he's still kicking. How dare you guys come for the wolf?
Wolf Blitzer
Anyway,
still buzzing around.
He's still at CNN, yes. But Wolf Blitzer also ironically literally worked for AIPAC before he did
He
CNN.
understands like what's happening in the world, like, and you guys don't have to, because like people love you for prank and lifestyle content. You know,
Yeah,
and
see,
it's
that's-
just, what?
But yeah, no, go ahead. You're good.
I gotta go.
Go ahead.
Guys, Kyle, it was really nice to meet you. I'm
Good to meet you,
seriously- No, I'm in New York.
New York. All right,
Adam,
in
I'll see you,
Wilson,
buddy.
brother.
Easy,
What's up, bro?
Take care.
Did he just shut off his laptop? That's so funny. Oh my god, he's such a fucking boomer.
So that's actually what I want to ask you, because
Wait, how do I? Why is he still
gets
in the
pissed-
call? Okay, here.
I don't know, but he gets pissed at us. Understandably, he gets pissed at us for platforming. But that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like, when are we supposed to say no? When are we supposed to not do certain things?
I mean, look, there are certain people. There are certain people that that not everyone is equipped enough to be able to talk to, because that conversation, instead of being a productive one, turns into one where they could just like do propaganda and use the platform that you have to get their message across. I would use the same principle for Nick Fuentes, for example, except with Nick Fuentes, I mean, he's a neo-Nazi, but he hasn't done literal fucking crimes like Benjamin Netanyahu has, while also simultaneously being a neo-Nazi of a different sort. So it's even worse than someone like Nicholas Fuentes, and I don't think that Nicholas Fuentes is appropriate to also platform in this situation.
What do you think about the goal of the Full Sun podcast being to platform anybody? What do you think about that overall? If that's the direction we're gonna go, right?
The reason why I think it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do. I obviously can't fucking advocate for deplatforming, especially in this day and age, especially in this time and place, because a lot of these institutions that would otherwise be tasked with like taking people. Hello? Oh, your camera pooped for a second. A lot of these institutions that are tasked with deplatforming people spend way more time deplatforming someone like myself, or at least trying to deplatform someone like myself, for having a consistent moral anti-genocide and anti-Zionist position than people who are actually anti-Semitic. They call me anti-Semitic, despite the fact that I'm not anti-Semitic. The reason why I would still choose not to platform neo-Nazis and things of that nature, regardless of how equipped I am at talking to them about these issues and being able to push back adequately, is because a lot of these guys are simply looking for any opportunity to get their message to a broader audience. They don't actually care about the truth. They don't actually care about coming across like good or bad. They just want to be heard, because every single time they go in front of a larger audience, they end up winning over some people in the margins to their side. Okay. And if you understand that they are not honest brokers here, that they don't like care about, back and forth discourse, then ultimately you're playing a role in allowing people to be recruited to that side. You're playing a role in getting more people to be recruited to neo-Nazis, to neo-Nazi groups. And I think that ultimately that is very dangerous.
That's why we're gonna have both sides on.
But having
Hassan,
both sides on doesn't actually make up for that. Is my point.
I agree with you too.
And then
Hassan,
there's
I've told you many times.
no comparison to
Hassan,
Benjamin Netanyahu on the other side anyway.
Hassan, I've told you multiple times. Me and Kyle disagree with a lot of things Netanyahu has done. We do not agree.
But
I mean, I understand. The whole problem is platforming, but that's why we're gonna have from each side a representative that's gonna fucking tell us exactly what we
Well,
like,
the best possible thing you guys could have done before this interview, I mean, the best possible thing would have been to not have this interview at all. But the second best possible thing, if you were like adamant about having this interview, would have been to potentially bring someone that is knowledgeable before you did the interview, so it didn't just simply, so that Benjamin Netanyahu didn't use you guys like a fucking fleshlight, is what I'm saying, to just make himself look like not the demon that he is, but instead of a personable person. Like, here, I have something here that was sent to me from an excerpt from the interview that you guys conducted, where you asked him if he prefers, Burger King or McDonald's or whatever. And it's really interesting because like people have yelled at me for doing this with like a dude in Yemen that they claim is a fucking terrorist. Okay. That dude is a 19-year-old in Yemen. He has no power. He holds no power on the planet. He is, at any given moment.
I mean, it just came up in the conversation.
At any given moment, he could be fucking assassinated by American bombs, by Saudi bombs, or any other. Like, he is one of the least powerful people on the planet. This Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the most powerful people on the planet. So in this opportunity, instead of humanizing him, you guys could have had someone that is knowledgeable enough not to ask that question. And instead, when you say, like, are you starving children? And he says no, the person could turn around and say,
for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, Hassan,
Hassan,
you make a great point, and I understand your comparisons to Hitler. I see your perspective. And yeah, I think just with the Folsom pod, like I told you, we're just not here to choose the guests. We're going to have anyone on, even if it is a wanted war criminal, and we're just going to let the viewers decide. And I think they spoke very clearly. And I don't think just because we platform people that people fall for the person's message.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, that's just the bottom line. Like, go look at the comments.
We give you an
I just don't
opportunity.
think
It's not.
I don't think that you guys would do that. Is my point. Like, if there, because there's no other. Because you already said you wouldn't. You already said you would not, if given the opportunity, you would not interview Adolf Hitler. So there is a limit to it. Like, there's an upper limit.
Well, but also, Hassan, it's crazy.
And I think it's evident that just because we platform someone, just because Nelk sits next to them, doesn't mean we agree with everything they say or do. One, because we definitely don't. And number two, just because we platform someone, it doesn't. Our viewers are fucking smart. Like, go read the comments. Like,
Yeah,
but also proof that just because we have someone on, it doesn't necessarily mean a W for the guest.
No, I understand that. There are plenty of people that I disagree with that I communicate with. But there's a difference between, there's an upper limit to it, is my point. And that upper limit is like far past when it comes to fucking someone like Benjamin Netanyahu. My limit is far before Benjamin Netanyahu. It's someone like Nicholas Fuentes or someone like Andrew Tate. But even if I were to engage with people like that, it depends on the platform that they have and how much prominence and how much influence they hold over a large enough audience, because I feel like it's unproductive, it's counterproductive if they hold no staying power whatsoever. So I'm not saying that it's bad to interview Benjamin Netanyahu, but if you were going to do that, it's such a important task that you have to take it seriously, and you have to have someone who is knowledgeable to be able to push back, because he's a fucking liar.
Son, you're missing the point. As you know, that they're going to be very specific with who they allow to interview them. We've already covered that, right? Is his PR team going to allow him to go on a Hasanabi fucking live stream? Probably not.
No, of course not. They would.
Someone that's had Trump on 3 times.
No, I think. Listen, I think we're gonna wrap this up soon. It's fucking.
Wait, last thing I want to ask.
We're in Europe.
Hassan, last thing. We text off stream. Obviously, we are boys. We talked about lifting together, hooping together. So there are things that we can't agree on, but when it comes to this stuff, it creates animosity. So I just want to point that out.
Okay, but All right, but you have to. There's a reason why there's 6,000 comments here. I'm looking at the comments right now, and everyone's cooking you guys.
We read them. We read
know,
them.
we know. Hassan, we're aware. But
I mean, that should be evident that the Full Send podcast has people on, and the viewers decide.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
All right. Good
But
luck,
Hassan,
guys.
I
Gabor Mate or Gabor Mate is a Holocaust
text me.
survivor.
I'm gonna have Steiny. I'm gonna have Steiny text you, and if you
Okay, I will. I will send you
send the names. We
people
appreciate
to
you.
interview. But if you were to ask me ahead of time, I would have told you not to do this interview. For the record, I only found out after you did this interview.
But when he texted me, and he said, "Yo, you had so and so on the podcast!" Exclamation point. Was that more of a shock or
Yes,
what was that?
it was a shock.
Shock factor. Okay, making sure. Hassan, thank you so much.
All right. Bye, guys.
Talk to you soon, bro. All right, take care.
Oh, ay. Don't send them Norm. He's not good on podcasts. No, I wouldn't. Gabor Mate, I think, would be better than. No, I think. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I think they realize they bit off more than they can chew because like everyone's cooking them. Zero pushback. You literally just let a war criminal talk freely for an hour to millions of fans. Just horrible. You guys are truly. That's what it is. They're just tanking the fucking backlash because they think it's content. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, I think they just don't give a shit. Ultimately, will you watch it on stream? Probably not. I mean, maybe, just not right now. There's a bunch of other stuff that I need to cover than, an hour and 13 minutes of Benjamin Netanyahu trying to present himself as like a human being. What? Why send them Gabor Mate? Why not just bring on Gabor yourself? They shouldn't be rewarded. Also, what the fuck is their stance on Hitler? What do you mean rewarded? This is like me trying to plug I think Benjamin Netanyahu is such a fucking repulsive, monstrous piece of shit that it doesn't even matter. I'll be honest with you. Like them doing this, here's what I think. I think the Full Send podcast interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu is not actually going to win any favors for the Full Send podcast and only invites understandable frustration and enmity and animosity and anger and hate in their direction. And it doesn't even help Benjamin Netanyahu look good. Okay? That's what I think. Because Benjamin Netanyahu is already a fucking demon. And not only is he already a fucking demon, he gets to be on whatever fucking news media outlet he wants to regardless. And if it can't do it himself, he can send someone else to fucking go and one of his envoys from the Israeli state to go and defend the state of Israel and still get fucking clobbered regardless. But if we're asking about like the individual's moral culpability here, yeah, they are morally culpable in a very meaningful way. And they unironically, this is almost like a self-solving problem. Calling them CNN would be an insult that they actually would understand. That I did do that. That's why I kept repeating that. That's it. So it's Adam Friedland's statement was can't believe I'm saying this, but kind of correct, which is it's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the times that like Benjamin Netanyahu, a fucking war criminal and a genocidaire, is going on the Nelk Boys podcast because he wants to do PR for himself. And then instead of getting that PR goal across, because I don't think anyone's going to be like, yo, dude, Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm a big fucking Nelk Boys fan. And a Benjamin Netanyahu seems like a guy I can crack a cold one with. Like they're not, like I don't think it's going to work is my point. Not only is it not going to work, but it actually brings everyone else down alongside in the process. Like this hurt the Nelk Boys more than it helped Benjamin Netanyahu, if that makes sense. It's almost like a self-solving problem. And it's not even like something that Benjamin Netanyahu could solve by being charismatic or whatever. It's just that his crimes are so major and so in broad daylight that I can't in good conscience just understand how anyone would ever operate like this and think that it's like it's I don't know. I mean, dude, while we're having this conversation, in the past 48 hours, 20 people in Gaza have died from hunger, according to the Director General of the Ministry of Health. Hunger and famine is completely set in the Gaza Strip. Not only are the American mercenaries alongside the Israeli occupying force starving the Gazan population deliberately and that at the point of aid distribution, they are directly shooting and killing Palestinians and using aid delivery, which doesn't even need to exist in the hands of Israel or America, which are belligerents in this as an occupying force. Aid delivery that they could allow into the Strip, they're refusing to allow into the Strip through third parties so that they can use the limited faucet of aid to kill as many Palestinians as possible. There is no both sides in this circumstance. I mean, it just doesn't exist. The UN Human Rights, the occupied Palestinian territory, UN Human Rights Office, internationally mandated to monitor and report on human rights in the occupied Palestinian territory, reveals that 10 children per day lose one or both of their legs. 20 months of intense hostilities have destroyed the protection environment for persons with disabilities and older persons. Protection cluster outlines 5 key protection risks in this regard requiring immediate attention. And this is the limited amount. These are conservative estimates because Israel, under the directive of Benjamin Netanyahu, the war criminal, has actually intentionally destroyed the healthcare infrastructure of Gaza. In Gaza, 134,105 people, including over 40,500 children, had new war-related injuries. 25% are estimated to have new disabilities requiring acute and ongoing rehabilitation. 35,000 plus people are believed to have significant hearing damage due to explosions. Israel has, by the most conservative estimations, killed a classroom filled with children every single day. Literally every single day. That's why the Adolf Hitler comparison is perfectly apt and perfectly appropriate in this situation. Okay? It is akin to interviewing Adolf Hitler, and even worse than that, it's akin to interviewing Adolf Hitler with the full knowledge of the death camps. Like knowing that Auschwitz is literally fucking sending Jews into the gas chambers, sending all of the political dissidents, the Roma population, the Slavs, whoever, into gas chambers and cooking them alive, and then sitting across from Adolf Hitler and being like, well, what kind of chocolates do you like? How much do you enjoy meth consumption? It's just like, it's not content, you know?
Damn, this guy's good.